Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness is appointed the offices of rulers for the welfare of society and the just government of humankind, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. All which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Order. I have a couple of announcements. I wish to inform the House that on the 17th of November 2025, Parliament received two inadmissible petitions from the first one, the Kadoma Community Residents Association of 18 Mokwati Street, Kadoma, beseeching Parliament to compel the Kadoma City Council to inter alia make the budget and bylaws accessible to residents and submit quarterly progress reports on budget performance to the residents. The petition was deemed inadmissible because the petitioners did not meet the procedural requirements in accordance with petition procedure, and the petitioners have since been advised accordingly. Secondly, the Drivers Association of Zimbabwe of stand number 9162 Glenora C, Harare, beseeching Parliament to enact legislation that professionalizes driving in the transport sector to make it compulsory for companies to employ drivers who are members of a professional drivers association. The petition was deemed inadmissible as the petitioners did not meet the procedural requirements in accordance with the petition procedure. The petitioners have been advised accordingly. Are there any notices of motion? Yes, Honorable Madlinganiso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to give notice that on Thursday, 27 November, this House considers and adopts the report of the Portfolio Committee on Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare on the Ministries of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare and Skills Audit and Development's 2024 fourth quarter budget performance reports SC 63-2025. so submit, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Are there any further notices of motion?
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable KARIKOGA, good afternoon.
I rise to give notice that on Thursday, 27th November 2025, that this House takes note of the delegation report of the 151 Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union and related meetings held in Geneva, Switzerland from 18th to 13th October 2025. I so submit.
Thank you. Any further notices of motion? Yes, Honorable Sibanda.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Good afternoon.
I rise to give notice that on Thursday, the 27th of November, I will move a motion in my name that this House cognizant that domestic and unpaid care work in Zimbabwe is a vital part of national development, noting that unpaid care and domestic work are carried out mainly by women and girls without recognition, reward, or rest, thereby creating an imbalance that deprives them of time to learn and lead and thrive, deepening gender inequality. Disturbed that unpaid domestic and caregivers remains unrecognized and uncompensated in many countries, including Zimbabwe, leading to significant social, financial, and gender inequalities. Concerned that despite its vital contribution to socio-economic stability and national development, unpaid domestic and care work is not adequately valued and recognized in national budgetary allocations and infrastructure development, so as to cushion the women and girls who enjoy long hours of work without any rest. Now, therefore, this House calls upon the Minister of the Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare to develop a comprehensive policy and legislation on unpaid care work and commissions, a national survey to assess the economic worth of unpaid care and domestic work, including its contribution to gross domestic product, GDP, and the Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion to prioritize and increase budget allocations for social protection programs, infrastructure development, and social services. So I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sibanda. Any further notice of motion? I don't see any. I have a point of national interest from Honorable P. Togarepi.
Maita basa mpatu wechigaro, our speaker. Mr. Speaker, ini ndiri mugaro muno muHarare nemamwe maguta. Ndinosanganawo nevanhu vakawana nzvimbo dzokugara, vakavaka dzimba dzavo, vamwe vane nguva inosvika kuma20 years vakavaka dzimba dzavo vachitogara. Asi mumaguta umu mukumuka tsamba dzinongosvika munhu agara 20 years achibhadhara maredzi kukanso, achibhadhara zvose zvinodiwa nekanso. Kongouya tsamba yokuti imwe inouya ichiti iwe wakubviswa pano nokuti ndepanhingi after 20 years. Imba yaakavaka ipapo yakaapuruvhiwa nekanso ichiziva kuti musha inzvimbo iyi ndeyeumwe munhu, asi vakaizviapuruvha. Vanhu vazhinji vari kurasikirwa nemari dzavo, vamwe vanhu vakaritaya mari dzavo dzepensheni dzose vakati ndozvivakira pokugara. Nhasi musha uya wakunzi wakavaka pasipo hapazi pako, iye akabvumirwa nekanzo. Ndaikumbira Mr. Speaker kuti ingava komiti yedu yelocal government, ingava minister welocal government, kuti paongororwe zvakasimba zvichibva paruling inobva muno muparliament, kuti macooperative mazhinji anonzi aibhadhara mari zhinji kukanzuru, asi now vakunzi makagara pasiri pamutemo, munhu ava ne20 years ari panzvimbo iyoyo, watova nevana, vatorora, azvarira mwana wake ipapo. Saka ndinoona kuti uori huri munyaya yokupuwa dzimba mumalocal authorities edu, Mr. Speaker, hunoda kuti hurumende, kuda Minister of Local Government kana komiti yedu yomuno imboenda kuma cooperatives akasiyana-siyana navagari vomuno maHarare, achinocheka kuti chinoita kuti munhu ambovaka for 20 years azonzi chibva pano zvaiva muwandobviswa vashandi vekanzuru ndio notouya netsamba achiti inini paugere pano hapasi paufanirwa uchigara pano. Saka kushungurudzwa kwaita ruzhinji rweZimbabwe kune dzimba mumataundi dei kwagadziriswa, nokuti munhu unenge agara ipapo namagwaro anenge abva kukanzuru. Tatenda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Government Chief Whip. I think your matter that you have raised is of deep and high concern, and therefore I think it is pertinent that the Minister of Local Government sort of makes a ministerial statement towards that issue so that it is addressed properly, and whoever is responsible for letting people build using their last resources of their pensions and then later on want to come and demolish for them is dealt with once and for all. So your point of national interest is noted and admitted. Thank you.
Point of order.
Honorable Hamausa, how are you?
I am good, Mr. Speaker. Say, how are you?
I'm okay. Yes. What is your point of order?
My point of order, I just wanted to add from something to say the issue of illegal settlements and fights between the settlers and councils has been said time without number in this house. So I was suggesting that possibly there is need to look into something deeper. So I wanted to suggest that maybe there is need for an inquiry.
Order, Honorable Amonson. This was a point of national interest, and therefore it is not subject to any debate. However, if you have more flesh to add to what Honorable Togarebe brought today, please see your chief whip and bring your own point of national interest tomorrow. We will recognize you so that we deal with this terrible scourge. All right?
Speaker, sir.
Thank you.
Point of national interest, Mr. Speaker.
Unfortunately, Honorable Chikubu, that's not how we roll. If you have a point of national interest, please lodge it with your chief whip and we'll duly recognize you. So put it for tomorrow.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, but I want to remind you that there was a ruling that said you have a point of if you want to.
Honorable Chikubu, please take your seat.
I understand, Mr. Speaker, but I want you to help us.
Please take your seat. Please take your seat. I beg of you, please take your seat.
Okay, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
But I think the issue needs to be resolved.
Well, I recognize the government chief whip to give us direction.
Point of order.
There cannot be any point of order at this moment.
As a point of national interest.
I just gave a direction to say, please lodge those with your chief whip.
Yeah, we are here. Right? The paper there.
Sorry?
Can you indulge the chief whip?
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I submitted Honorable Wende's name to Government Chief Whip. Maybe there was a typo error. Therefore, I request, if it pleases you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Wende to raise his matter of national interest. He indicated that to me. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay. Government Chief Whip, would you mind if we indulge them?
If the Chief Whip says so, I think it's important that we indulge and allow him to yeah, but we have to talk, the two of us, because we didn't receive it. But the honorable member may not be punished for poor communication between ourselves.
Thank you, Government Chief Whip. So, Honorable Chief Whip of the Opposition, you concur that it's only Honorable Wende that is submitted to you, right? Thank you. So, Honorable Wende, you may take the floor on a point of national interest.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for that indulgence. I rise today to bring to the attention of this House a matter of national importance and a cause for collective celebration, which is the significant and tangible progress being made in addressing the perennial water crisis that has affected our capital city of Harare for decades. For far too long, the people of Harare have endured the hardship of unreliable and often non-existent water supply. This has not only been a grave inconvenience, but a serious public health and economic challenge. The staggering loss of 60% of our treated water as non-revenue water through a dilapidated and crumbling network has represented a catastrophic waste of national resources and a failure in our urban infrastructure. It is therefore with a great sense of hope and commitment that I draw this House to the public-private partnership between Government of Zimbabwe, the city of Harare, and the engineering firm Elcro. This strategic collaboration has moved from a promise to action. I'm pleased to report that the physical rehabilitation of the water distribution network has commenced, with Warren Park suburb serving as a visible and encouraging starting point. Honorable Speaker said, this partnership is a clear example of how strategic collaboration between the public and public sector can be harnessed to solve our most entrenched challenges. It demonstrates a shared commitment to practical results-oriented solutions. I therefore, through you, Honorable Speaker, wish to place it on record my profound appreciation to the Government of Zimbabwe, the city of Harare, and Elcro. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wende. This is the kind of spirit of building that we appreciate from members across the divide. If something is good, it is good. You cannot dilute it. So well done for bringing this up. And we recommend the government and the city of Harare and the private partner for coming together to solve this scourge of water problems. Thank you very much. And I recognize the government chief whip.
Speaker, I move that orders number 1 and 2 be stood over until order number 3 has been disposed of.
Thank you. Who seconds?
I second, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Thank you. The clerk will read the third order of the day.
Second reading, Occupational Safety and Health Bill, HB 6/2025.
Thank you. I call upon the Minister to present here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to deliver my second reading speech on the Occupational Safety and Health Bill. The bill before you today is a very necessary measure to improve the administration, safety, and health of our workers at the workplace. As will be expected, this bill has gone through all internal legal processes that include discussion and approval by both the Cabinet Committee on Legislation and Cabinet, gazetting by Parliament and public hearings. None of these processes and stages have given it a thumbs down, including the Parliamentary Legal Committee. I therefore present my second reading speech on this bill today to this august House, opening it up for discussion, for debates, and approval by the House. Mr. Speaker, the OSH Bill, among other things, seeks to harmonize OSH legislation in the country, replacing the existing old, fragmented, and difficult to enforce laws. The bill is a key piece of legislation that will not only contribute to the prevention and reduction of occupational injuries, fatalities, and diseases, but also to the national competitiveness on the global scale. The promulgation of this law has become even more urgent as it will assist in the decent work agenda, as well as aligning with the recently adopted resolution by the International Labour Organization, ILO, to have OSH as part of fundamental principles and rights at work. The bill, among other things, will provide for the governance and provision of occupational safety and health framework in Zimbabwe, the safety, health, and welfare of persons in workplaces, the establishment of the tripartite Zimbabwe Occupational Safety and Health Advisory Council, the establishment of the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, the setting out of the role of the National Social Security Authority in implementing the provisions of this Act, the necessary framework and systems to ensure compliance with the various ILO occupational safety and health conventions to which Zimbabwe is a signatory. Regulation and control of plant, machinery, and hazardous substances use at the workplaces, and repealing of the Pneumococcs Act, Chapter 15.08, and Factories and Work Act, Chapter 14.08. So I submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The question before the House is a motion by the Honorable Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare that the Occupational Safety and Health Bill, HB 6/2025, be now read a second time. Is there any debate? I've got a list that I was given here that we shall follow. The first member to take the floor is Honorable D. Malinganiso. You are the chairperson of the committee, right?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to present the report of the Portfolio Committee on Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare on the Occupational Safety and Health Bill, HB 6 of 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Occupational Safety and Health Bill seeks to modernize and consolidate laws relating to workplace safety and health in Zimbabwe. It establishes a comprehensive framework to safeguard workers and other persons from occupational hazards, creates the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, and provides for the Zimbabwe Occupational Safety and Health Advisory Council. The bill also introduces clear duties for employers, workers, suppliers, and regulators, strengthens enforcement mechanisms through inspectors, notices, and penalties, and establishes an accident prevention and workers' Compensation Fund. It repeals the outdated Factories and Works Act, Chapter 1408, and the Pneumoconiosis Act, Chapter 1508. Mr. Speaker, in terms of Section 141 of the Constitution, which enjoins Parliament to ensure public involvement in its legislative processes and that interested parties are consulted about bills, the Portfolio Committee on Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, hereafter referred to as the committee, conducted public consultations on the bill. This report, Mr. Speaker, summarizes the views of the people of Zimbabwe on the bill. Mr. Speaker, the Occupational Safety and Health Bill, as part of its consultations on the bill, the committee organized a parliamentary workshop for all members of parliament. The workshop was convened to facilitate an informed and inclusive dialogue on the proposed legislation. The event brought together key stakeholders who made valuable submissions on the bill, including representatives from the International Labour Organization, Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions, Zimbabwe Federation of Trade Unions, Zimbabwe Confederation of Public Sector Trade Unions, and Mr. Tafadzwa Kabuya, a labor law lecturer from the University of Zimbabwe. The workshop served as a vital platform for social partners, legislators, and experts to deliberate on the implications of the bill, identify legislative and policy gaps, and share best practices aimed at strengthening occupational safety and health governance in Zimbabwe. It also enhanced members of Parliament's understanding of the bill's provisions, thereby equipping them to engage more effectively in the legislative process. Mr. Speaker said the committee also conducted public hearings on the Occupational Safety and Health Bill from 22 to 30 September 2025, where it engaged a broad spectrum of stakeholders, including labor unions, employer organizations, civil society groups, academic institutions, local authorities, and ordinary workers. These engagements provided a rich and diverse array of perspectives reflective of realities, challenges, and expectations surrounding occupational safety and health across various economic sectors. Mr. Speaker, may I transition to the summary of our findings. The public welcomed the tabling of the Occupational Safety and Health Bill, viewing it as a timely and progressive effort to update outdated workplace safety laws. Stakeholders applauded the inclusion of clear roles for employers, workers, and regulators. However, they raised a number of legal and operational concerns relating to the bill's structure, institutional arrangements, and implementation frameworks. May I present the highlights, Mr. Speaker, of participants' views on the bill. On Clause 3, participants emphasized that Clause 3 of the bill should define the framework of collective bargaining and ensure workers' participation in determining workplace safety standards. They proposed the introduction of a public sector bargaining council constituted of sector-specific bargaining councils to harmonize occupational safety matters across different sectors. Furthermore, the public was concerned that the definition of competent person is too limited. They suggested that it should be expanded to include individuals with diplomas or degrees and provide more specificity regarding occupational safety and health competence. Stakeholders were also concerned that the bill omits definition of critical terms such as unacceptable risk and reasonably practicable.
Order, Honorable Malinganiso. What is happening over there, Honorable Members? Sorry? A medical situation. So please, let's not crowd that. Let's allow those qualified to do something about it. Everyone else, please take your seats and allow qualified people to do that. Are we getting attention there? Can you also please make sure? Can you make sure that medical personnel is called upon to help over there? Are we finding a solution over there? Sorry? Yes, that's why I've stopped proceeding to say let's get your attention. Clark, shall we quote? Rather, I'm advised that the health personnel are on their way. Right now, they should be here anytime soon. Shall we all remain calm in the meantime?
Mr. Speaker, what is happening? Chipatara chiri panapa chinotora nguva yokuti chizo. What is happening? What is happening?
Order, members. Honorable Government Chief Whip. Order, honorable members. The medical personnel have been called. Officers, please I hope someone from the staff is rushed there instead of just calling. Order, members. That's not a license to make noise. And our medical personnel have arrived. So Right. Thank you very much, honourable members, for your concerns and patience while we dealt with this situation. And again, honourable members, it brings me to this important observation. I hope we all realize that we only got but one life, which has no spare parts and no second chance. So therefore, it is very, very important to follow your body. It's very important, if you are not feeling well, to quickly seek medical attention. And if needs be, can you have a bit of order? If needs be, when you are not feeling well, it should be easy for you to inform your leadership so that you are excused from coming to the house. Because we need you here healthy and not half. So please, let us all consider our health first all the time.
Mr. Speaker, I think you are right, but there are some conditions that do not give notice when they attack you. Especially in this case, she has a heart problem, which we believe your offices will consider also that when you are also, your advice, we are taking it seriously, but also consider that there are some diseases like asthma, and in a case, she got a known heart problem. So it can just attack you without giving you a notice.
Thank you.
Yes.
That is noted. That is noted. But my bottom line is, let's take care of our health. We live but only once. Honorable Malinganiso, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Perhaps it's a reminder that occupational safety and health is important. May we applaud the Second Republic for coming into that cause. Mr. Speaker, stakeholders were also concerned that the bill omits definition of critical terms such as an acceptable risk and reasonably practicable. They were concerned that these omissions create interpretive ambiguity and could lead to inconsistent enforcement. They recommended adding a clear definition schedule aligned with ISO 45001 and International Labour Organization standards. On clause 4, Mr. Speaker, stakeholders raised concern over the placement of the Department of Occupational Safety and Health under the National Social Security Authority. They argued that NASA's alleged track record may compromise accountability and independence. It was suggested that the department be independent and report directly to Parliament or the responsible ministry, similar to the UK's Health and Safety Executive model. Stakeholders commended the proposed hotline and call center system to improve transparency and reduce corruption risks. The public suggested that the chairperson of the Bureau should be an engineer elected from the pool. They further proposed that the Bureau should at least consist of 7 members, including 3 registered engineers and 2 medical practitioners, one of whom should be a radiologist. Stakeholders were also concerned that the bill does not clearly distinguish between policy-making, enforcement, and adjudication functions. They recommended assigning these roles to distinct bodies to avoid overlap and ensure accountability. On clause 10, Mr. Speaker, teachers' unions were concerned that most schools lack proper laboratories or protective facilities, making implementation difficult. They recommended that the bill include minimum sector-specific safety standards. The public noted that hazard identification and risk assessment is inadequately addressed and should be aligned with the National Occupational Safety and Health Policy and ISO 45001 standard. Stakeholders further noted with concern that the bill does not outline required occupational safety and health support elements such as risk assessments, training, and emergency procedures. They recommend setting minimum standards to guide employers. The public raised concerns that the bill lacks detailed definitions, exposure limits, surveillance procedures, and chemical classification systems. For example, globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. They recommend adopting the UK control of substances hazardous to health style requirements, including permissible exposure limits and mandatory surveillance intervals. On clause 11, Mr. Speaker said, the public highlighted that the bill does not mandate safety committees or worker safety representatives. They proposed mandatory structures for consultation in workplaces of a certain size or risk level. On clause 12 and 13, Mr. Speaker said, the public noted that the two clauses were duplicative and proposed for the consolidation and strengthening of employer obligations regarding employee training, hazard reporting, and provision of protective equipment. They further called for stronger whistleblower protections and anti-retaliation measures for workers who refuse unsafe work. They also noted the absence of minimum standards defining what constitutes adequate training. On clause 22, Mr. Speaker said, stakeholders were concerned that the 50-year data retention equivalent was excessive and proposed a reduction to 10 to 15 years, especially for small enterprises. They further recommended for digital data management systems and annual public reports with key safety statistics. On clauses 23 to 31, Mr. Speaker said, the public commended the robust enforcement powers granted to inspectors, but emphasized that all inspectors must undergo certification and continuous training. They further proposed annual publication of inspection statistics to promote transparency and public trust. On clauses 32 to 36, Mr. Speaker said, stakeholders welcomed the establishment of the Occupational Safety and Health Appeals Body. However, they raised concern about the limited composition of the body and recommended inclusion of a legal practitioner, an occupational safety expert, and a medical professional to ensure impartial adjudication. Clauses 37 to 39, the public commended the establishment of the Accident Prevention and Workers' Compensation Fund. They recommended a clear funding matrix, transparent audits, and government contributions to ensure sustainability and prevent abuse of workers' funds. Clauses 43 to 44, Mr. Speaker, say stakeholders supported accreditation of occupational safety and health service providers, but called for transparent licensing, renewal, and a public register of providers. They further proposed that codes of practice be given quasi-legal status similar to the UK's approved codes of practices. May I transition, Mr. Speaker, said to committee observations. The committee noted strong concerns over the bill's limited definitions on clause 3, particularly the absence of essential terms such as unacceptable risk and reasonably practicable. Stakeholders argued that this could lead to interpretive inconsistencies during enforcement. The definitions of competent person and occupational medical practitioner were also viewed as too restrictive. The committee observed widespread concerns regarding the placement of the Department of Occupational Safety and Health under the National Social Security Authority. The committee noted that the bill lacks explicit minimum requirements for occupational safety and health support systems, including risk assessments, emergency preparedness, training, specific safety standards. The committee noted that the bill does not mandate the establishment of safety committees or election of safety representatives. The committee observed stakeholder concerns regarding duplication between clauses 12 and 13 and the lack of clarity around employer training obligations and occupational safety and health management systems. There is no definition of adequate training, nor are whistleblower protections or anti-retaliation safeguards provided for workers who refuse unsafe work. The committee observed the need for inspectors to undergo mandatory certification, continuous professional development, and adherence to competence standards. It acknowledges that inspector capacity and transparency of enforcement activities are critical to the effective implementation of the bill. The committee noted stakeholder support for the creation of the Accident Prevention and Workers' Compensation Fund, but also acknowledged calls for a clear funding model, transparent audits, and potential state contributions. Mr. Speaker, I now transition to committee recommendations. The committee therefore recommends that 1. The bill should include a comprehensive definition schedule that clearly defines essential terms such as unacceptable risk, reasonably practicable, competent person, and occupational medical practitioner, aligned with ISO 45001 and ILO standards under Clause 3. The definition of competent person should be broadened to include individuals with recognized occupational safety and health qualifications and relevant experience. 2. The Department of Occupational Safety and Health should be established as an autonomous entity, independent of NASA and accountable either to Parliament or the responsible ministry. 3. In addition, the bill should clearly separate the functions of policy making, enforcement, and adjudication under clauses 4 to 9 to avoid conflicts of interest and enhance regulatory clarity. 4. The bill should specify minimum occupational safety and health support requirements, including risk assessments, emergency preparedness, training programs, and sector-specific safety standards under Clause 10. 5. The bill should mandate the establishment of safety committees and the election of safety representatives in workplaces of a defined size or risk profile under Clause 11. Worker consultation provisions should be strengthened to ensure structured and continuous dialogue on workplace safety. 6. The Occupational Safety and Health Appeals Body should be expanded to include a legal practitioner, an occupational safety and health expert, and a medical professional to ensure balanced adjudication under Clause 32. 7. The bill should establish a transparent accreditation and licensing framework, including renewal procedures and a publicly accessible register of accredited occupational safety and health service providers. 8. The bill should establish a clear funding model for the fund under Clause 37, including transparent audit provisions and possible government support where necessary. 9. Clauses 12 and 13 should be consolidated to remove duplication and explicitly outline employer duties regarding training, hazard reporting, and the provision of protective equipment. In addition, the bill should mandate minimum standards for adequate training covering frequency, content, and competence expectations. And 10, finally, the committee recommends that whistleblower protections and anti-retaliation safeguards should be introduced for workers who refuse unsafe work or report hazards. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the committee acknowledges that the Occupational Safety and Health Bill is a progressive and timely effort to modernize Zimbabwe's workplace safety framework. However, the public consultations revealed significant gaps that must be addressed to ensure its effectiveness. While stakeholders welcomed the bill's interventions, they raised concerns regarding unclear definitions, limited institutional independence, inadequate hazard management provisions, weak worker participation mechanisms, insufficient inspector competence standards, and the need for stronger transparency and accountability measures. The committee therefore urges that these issues be incorporated into the bill to ensure a robust, enforceable, and internationally aligned occupational safety and health system that effectively protects workers and promotes a safer and more productive economy. I so submit, Mr. Speaker, and I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Malinganiso. The next member to take the floor is Honorable Bajila.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to debate the Occupational Health and Safety Bill. I wish to thank the Honorable Minister for her speech in which she acknowledged quite a number of issues that as a committee we were also favored with when we did public hearings on the bill. Mr. Speaker, I wish to just highlight a few things in addition to what the committee chairperson has already spoken to. The first thing that I wish to say is that I am in support of the bill, as well as the proposed amendments that we got when we did public hearings. One thing that came out clearly in the public hearings was the need to create clarity in terms of roles, the role of the National Social Security Agency, NASA, the role of the two newly established institutions or institutions that the bill establishes, namely the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, as well as the Occupational Health and Occupational Safety and Health Council. So it is important that as we support this bill, we establish clarity in terms of difference of roles between and among these institutions, because the public was clear that if the Occupational Safety and Health Department becomes a department of NASA, it will have operational challenges of circumstances where there is competition between NASA and the department in terms of outcomes. And therefore, the public's proposal to move this department such that it becomes a department of the ministry rather than department of NASA is one issue that I found and I clearly support, because it makes lots of sense to have this department standing alone. Mr. Speaker, there is also the issues where members of the public spoke to how the bill sought to define certain aspects or certain terms that are used frequently in the bill. There is no need for us to reinvent the wheel, because this is a labor issue. Most of the issues that we are modernizing have already been modernized by institutions that deal with the rights and responsibilities of workers and employers, like the International Labour Organization and the ISO, International Standards Organization. So some of the definitions that we have and they seem to have gaps, the gaps are already covered specifically in ISO 45001. If we take the ISO standards and come up with definitions of some of the terms using those standards, we are not going to have much of differences, and we are going to do away with ambiguities that seem to exist in the bill at its current form. I also want to applaud the ministry for bringing forward the bill, a matter that we also brought forth in the first reading of the bill. But at this point, I think it is important for us to say the desire to modernize our laws is a matter that we must be happy about, to the extent that laws that are now difficult to implement because of developments and changes that have happened at the workplace need to be aligned with modern times. And this bill specifically does that. It aligns the workplace with modern working times rather than the olden times. But, Mr. Speaker, the gap on the absence of safety committees at workplace level is a serious one, which needs to be looked into. Because this must not be an issue about the big institutions, the boards, the councils, and so forth and so forth. It's something that workers amongst themselves needs to be encouraged by the law to elect amongst themselves people who will be focused on issues to deal or to handle their safety and to handle complaints around their safety, so that they can be able within the workplace to raise safety issues, and then also in terms of capacitation, these so elected persons can capacitated time and again to understand the new laws and to be able to stand on behalf of their fellow workers on matters of safety at work. It is important that as we support this bill and as we say it must take it to the next stage, this gap of absence of representation of safety issues at workplace level needs to be covered. And we believe that this gap is not a difficult one to be included in the bill as we take it to the next stage. Then also issues that have to deal with compensation, issues that have to deal with penalties, issues that have to deal with workers who refuse to work because the working environment is unsafe. There needs to be clarity on that matter. Workers' rights to refuse to work under unsafe conditions need to be protected. So there needs to be that clarity in the bill that if a worker refuses to do certain work and it is proven that the grounds of their refusal is that there is no safety in the workplace, that worker needs to be protected by the law, because our law is pro-safety at work. We have seen quite a number of times where employers do not provide safety. And then we've got laws, some of which come as judgments and so forth, that give employers absolute power in terms of terminating contracts of workers. But this law, if we amend the current bill to provide for clarity around the issues of workers who refuse to do work because there is no safety in the workplace, by so doing, we will have protected our working people and they will have done well in terms of occupational safety. Mr. Speaker, there are other arrangements in workplaces that we have seen where there is progress towards attaining occupational safety. Lessons to be learned need to be understood. There are some workplaces here in Zimbabwe. Now we have much of the mining sector, the agriculture sector, and the manufacturing sectors. And we now need to have sector-specific thoughts around those. I then end, Mr. Speaker, by taking us to those boards and councils. It is important, Mr. Speaker, that there be clarity that at decision-making levels of the boards and the councils, people with expertise in how to arrive at a specific decision need to be prioritized. Industry specifics, industry experts like engineers, occupational health experts, and so forth, need to be in the majority amongst those who will implement decisions, because this is where much of their expertise is required. So at inspection level, you need these people to be the majority. At certification level, you need these people to be the majority. And if they are the majority at that level, it will be possible, it will be easy for the boards and the councils, which must comprise of experts in arriving at certain decisions. It will be easy for their decisions to be implemented. If we say only people with expertise in engineering, in occupational safety, and so forth, must be at board level, we will make a serious mistake, Mr. Speaker, of closing out certain skills that are critical, that are necessary, that have got expertise in how to arrive at certain decisions. So it is important that we ensure that implementation skills are dominate or are the most dominant at the level where implementation is required. That's where the expertise of engineers and doctors and occupational health scientists and so forth are. This then brings us to the important point that the chairperson raised, that while we know that we have got an association that registers and regulates the conduct of doctors in Zimbabwe, the conduct of engineers in Zimbabwe, occupational safety and health workers do not yet have an institution that speaks to regulating their conduct and making it known to the public that these are the people. So it is important also that this bill also attends to that gap of saying we now need to have a body, we now need to have a system of registration and regulation of occupational safety and health workers, so that they do not have a blank check of doing as they please without checks and balances here and there. But the international best practices is where they have got a council where they check on each other amongst themselves. This will make sure that they are also maintain the pride about their service, while at the same time serving our working people. Mr. Speaker, in brief, I am in support of this bill. I wish that this House supports it, but we need to factor in the proposed amendments that we got from members of the public when we were doing the public hearings. With those words, I rest my case.
Thank you, Honorable Bajila. The next member to take the floor is Honorable T. Ndo. He's in the house. He's not. All right, we shall proceed to Honorable J. Sitole.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Good afternoon.
Let me firstly thank you by giving me opportunity to put my voice or to contribute on this occupational safety and health bill. Allow me to contribute to the important debate on the bill by turning to the clause 12 and 13, which deal with employer duties and worker training. During the public consultation, stakeholders from all sectors raised the same concern. These two clauses repeat each other, but still fail to state clearly what employers and actually required to do. The committee observed that this duplication creates confusion. How do employers know the minimum training they must provide? How do the inspectors assess compliance? And how do workers know whether what they receive qualifies as inadequate training? Mr. Speaker, sir, the truth is, without clear standards, everyone is left guessing. Mr. Speaker, sir, training must be regular. It must be meaningful, and most importantly, it must be measurable. A worker handling dangerous chemical cannot be given a quick lecture and to be told they are fully trained. A school laboratory assistant cannot be expected to know safety procedures. If the bill does not mandate proper instructions, this is why the committee recommending emerging clauses 12, 13 into one strong, coherent clauses that are, number one, spell out what adequate training actually means. Secondly, define how often training must be conducted. Thirdly, outline what competence workers must require. Fourthly, ensure that training content is aligned with recognized OSH standards. Mr. Speaker, if we want safer workplaces, we must start with the proper training. I therefore support the committee's recommendation.
Order, Honorable Story. Officer, can you please close that door? Why is it open? You may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me proceed. I therefore support the committee's recommendation wholeheartedly. This bill must guarantee that every worker, whether in a school, a mine, a hospital, a factory, receives the training they need to stay safe and productive. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to clause 37, which establishes the Accident Prevention and Workers' Compensation Fund. The nation warmly welcomed this fund because it promises to support workers who suffer injuries and prevent accidents through targeted safety programs. But the public emphasizes on the need for the fund to be transparent and well governed. The committee noted that without a clear funding model and strong audit mechanism, we risk repeating past mistakes related to the misuse of workers' money. Mr. Speaker, we must learn from our history. The committee therefore recommended that the bill includes a clear transparent funding model, a mandatory independent audit, publicity, accessibility, financial reports, consideration of government contributions to ensure sustainability. Mr. Speaker, if we strengthen the governance of this fund, we will restore public trust, protect workers' finances, and ensure that injured workers are supported promptly and fairly. But if we leave this clause weak, then we risk creating another institution that fails the very people it was created to help. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I strongly endorse the committee's recommendation to tighten accountability, transparency in clause 37. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Tole. The next member to take the floor is Honorable V. Moyo.
Ngikubonga somlomo ohloniphekayo leli thuba lokuthi lami ngiphose amazwi ami lingifuna njani igolide.
Ngiyatshona utshona njani kamoya?
Okokuqala ngithanda ukubonga ungqongqoshi obuye laso isikhombiso somthetho lesi esizama ukuthi senqabele izingozi emsebenzini yabantu, njalo sisungule isikhwama esizancedisa abantu andubana bewele engozini. Lami somlomo ohloniphekayo bengiyingxenye yequla eliphumileyo la khankasa phandle lisizwa imbono kaZulu weZimbabwe. okuqhakathekileyo kakhulu engubongelayo ukuthi lesi sikhombiso somthetho sizama ukususa umthetho omdala owamafactory lemsebenzi owantolontolo kuma 1940. Siyazi ukuthi isikhathi esesiphila kizo sezitshintshile, ngakho kuqhakathekile ukuthi lemthetho esidalayo ibe yimithetho esincedisayo ngendlela esisebenza ngayo kulezi insuku. Okuhle engunanzeleleyo somlomo ohloniphekayo yikuthi ke imisebenzi yabaqhatshwa ibekwe yacaca, njalo ke umlandu walaba abayibo abahlolayo ukuphepha kwezindawo lapho esebenzela khona lakho kucacile kakhulu. Isiqondiso mhlambe sikhona kusukela kwesokuqala kusiya kwesesithathu siyabeka njalo siyaveza ukuhleleka ke kokukhulumisana phakathi kwezisebenzi lalaba ke abanini bamakampani. Sikwenza lokhu ke ngokusungula iqula eliyabe likhangelele ukukhulumisana ngokuphepha ke kwezigaba. Ngiyaloyisa ke somlomo ohloniphekayo ngokuthi ke kulesilinganiso silaso esomhlaba wonke jikelele okuthiwa ke iISO 45001. Lesi isilinganiso esisebenzayo njalo esisetshenziswa yizo zonke izizwe lapho sikhangelela ke ngokuphawula kokuphepha kwezigaba lapho esisebenza khona. Lesi silinganiso somhlaba wonke jikelele siyabeka siveze njalo izingozi, indlela zokunanzelela ingozi esangahlangana nazo lapho esisebenza khona, njalo sibeke indlela ke zokuphephisa indawo lapho esisebenzela khona. Somlomo ohloniphekayo, lesi silinganiso somhlaba wonke jikelele njalo silendlela zokuthi sinanzelele indlela abantu ababe bephawula ngayo leyi mthetho esikhuluma ngayo. Kuqhakathekile ukuthi bonke ubukhokheli, kungabe kuyibukhokheli wenhlanganiso, kungabe kuyibukhokheli kwamakhampani, kuyadingakala ukuthi bezinikele kakhulu, ikakhulu nxa sikhangela ukuphawula kwaleyo mthetho. Akungeke kwasebenzeka nxa ubukhokheli bona bungazinikelanga kulokho. Kuqhakathekile njalo mhlonipheki ukuthi ke sinanzelele ukuthi lapho okuvele khona ingozi kube lendlela zokuthi kuphenywe, kukhangelisiswe ukuthi ingozi leyi yenzakale njani. Ngiqhubekela phambili ke somlomo ohloniphekayo, silayo umthetho ongaphansi ke kwenhlanganiso yomhlaba wonke jikelele ekhangelele ke ngokuqhatshwa la ngemsebenzi ethiwa ngesikhiwa ke ILO. iZimbabwe njengesizwe sesibe kusiba njalo savumelana lezinqumo ezili10 eziqhakathekileyo. iZimbabwe njengesizwe thina sesibeke kusiba kulezo zinqumo eziyisificamunwemunye. So ngakho ke njengesizwe ngiyakunanzelela ukuthi hayi silakho silothando njalo lokufisa ukuthi ke silandele zonke izinqumo mayelana ngokuphawula ke ngokuphepha kwemsebenzini wezisebenzi zakithi. Ngiqhubekela phambili somlomo ohloniphekayo, ngiza ukuthinta mbijana ngemithetho ekhona esingayilinganisela njengale eyasemzansi yase-Afrika eka-1993. Lo mthetho ngumthetho wokuphawula njalo wokuphepha kwendawo lapho kusebenza khona ke abantu. Okokuqala lo mthetho ekunanzelelayo yikuthi ke njengoba ngitshilo phambilina sisuse zonke ingozi ezingaba khona emsebenzini. Sikwenza ke ngokusebenzisa indlela ke eziphephileyo, sihlukane lazo zonke indlela eziyingozi mhlawumbe ezingabeka ingozi ke kulabo abasebenza khonapho. Okunye njalo ke somlomo ke ohloniphekayo, kuqakathekile ukuthi kuko konke emsebenzini izisebenzi zibe lazo ke impahla zokuzivikela lapha ke kusetshenzwa. Impahla yokuzivikela iqakathekile, hatshi ukuthi abantu besebenze bengalayo impahla ebavikelayo. Kungabe kubavikela ke kumcimbicimbi abayenzayo kuleyo msebenzi, njalo kungabe kubavikela njalo mhlawumbe amafutha lama-chemicals athile abangabe behlanganela lawo emsebenzini. Okwesibili, limithetho ke esingayilinganisela ke yokuthi ke izisebenzi zibe yingxenye yokuxoxisana mayelana ke nendawo lapho abasebenzela khona. Hatshi ukuthi imithetho iphawulwe phezulu isehla isiya phansi. Kuqakathekile ukuthi izisebenzi zibe khona lapho okusungulwa khona ukuxoxisana mayelana ke ngendawo lapho abasebenzela khona, kwenzela ukuthi ke sisokundawonye ke izisebenzi nobukhokheli kunanzelelwe zonke izinto ezingaba yingozi, njalo sivumelane njengenhlanganiso ukuthi hayi lokho singakwenza ngalolu hlobo singabeka indawo mhlawumbe singabeka ke impilo yabantu ke engcupheni. Okwesine, akube khona ukuthi ke abantu bafunde ukukhuluma, kungatshaywa ndiva izingozi nxa lapho zitholakala. Kuvamile ukuthi kwesinye isikhathi lapho okuwela khona ingozi abantu bezame ukuthi kube yimfihlo bengakuvezi ke sobala. Ngakho ke lumthetho njengalo wasesemzansi wase-Afrika uyakukhuthaza ukuthi abantu abakhululeke konke lapho abananzelela khona ubungozi benelise ukuthi ke kukhulunywe. Kuqakathekile njalo somlomo omkhulu ukuthi abantu bahlale ke bengabafundayo, befunda ngomsebenzi, kwenzela ukuthi ke lolwazi lobuciko bomsebenzi abawenzayo ube ngwezinga ke eliphezulu. Kuqakathekile futhi ke somlomo ke ohloniphekayo ukuthi ngaso sonke isikhathi sihlale sizilungiselele ukuthi ke ingozi ingavela. Kube khona ukuthi ngolunye usuku kube losuku lokuthi abantu bazinika isikhathi bezame ukuthi ke nxa kungavela ingozi kungenziwa njani, kungenziwa mzamo bani. So yikho kuqakathekile ukuthi abantu behlale bezilungiselele ukuthi hayi ingozi ingavela ngoba akwaziwa lapho kuvela khona ke ingozi. Okugcina ke somlomo ohloniphekayo, umthetho lo sizama ukuthi siwulandele yikuthi ke emsebenzini sikhuthaze ukuthi abantu besebenza ke ingqondo zabo zihlalisekile, kungela ke okuba akhathazayo. Ngalawa amafitshane ke ngithanda ukubonga leli thuba ke somlomo.
Hayi, kuyabongeka mfo kamoyo. Namhlanje uzwangikhumbuza mzukwana usibeka isintu njengesintu, ungasiqamuli ngitsho, wasifaka sinjalo. Lokhu kusenza siziqhenye ngabantu abanjengani ngoba usiko lethu lenkulumo yethu ayisoze ihlabalale nxa liloku likubamba ngendlela enjalo. Kuyabongeka mfo kamoyo. Our next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable K. Mananzwa.
maita basa mubato wechigaro mamboswera sei?
Swera maswera sei?
Ndasumukawo kuti nditaurewo mashoko angu ekutsigira bill iri mashoma shoma re-Occupational Safety and Health Bill. Mubato wechigaro, bhiri iri riri kuburitsa pachena kuchengetedzeka kwevashandi kubva mukukuwara. Mubato wechigaro tine nzvimbo dzakawanda dzakakuwara vanhu vachishanda, dzinosanganisa mumamaini munenge muchivakwa nenzvimbo dzakawanda. Saka bhiri iri rinoita kuti vashandi vashande vasingavhunduke uye vashande nemazvo vachiziva kuti takachengetedzeka. Ende uyezve bhiri iri rinopa masimba kuvashandi kuti vanzwisise kuti kana zviri zvipfeko zvavanofanira kunge vachipfeka pakushanda, vanzwisise kuti havafaniri kunge vachikumbira asi ikodzero dzavo kunge vachipiwa zvipfeko zvinoenderana nekudzivirira kusakuwara kwavo. Endezve bhiu rinoita kuti vashandi nevashandirwi vanzwisise kuti mukushanda kwavo kwavanenge vachiita vashande vaine pfungwa dziri pamwe chete, nekuti kune dzimwe nzvimbo dzinotoshanda vanhu vachitoziva kuti pandaa kushanda apa panotyisa, ende pandiri kushanda apa panoita kuti upenyu hwangu hunge husiri panzvimbo yakanaka. Saka ndangosumuka kuti nditsigire kuti bhiri iri taona kuti rakanaka chaizvo, nyanye ndepatave neSecond Republic pari kunzi nemutungamiriri wenyika leaving no one and no place behind, kureva kuti nekumabasa ikoko tikange taisa mutemo uri mubhiri iri zvinoita kuti vanhu vange vachishanda vasina tsaona dzavanozosangana nadzo, ende vange vachiziva kuti kana tikazosangana netsaona upenyu hwedu hunenge hwakambomira sei. Saka ndasumuka kuti nditsigire kuti bhiri rakanaka. Uyezve chimwe chinhu ndechekuti panofanira kuva nenyanzvi dzinoongorora munoshandirwa, ende dzichiongorora kudaro dzive vanhu vanoziva kuti apa panenge pachifanira kushandwa zvakadai, apa pachifanira kufambiswa sei. Ende nyanzvi idzodzo dzinofanira kuzonodzidzisawo futi vashandi nevashandirwi kuti vese vange vachinzwisisa kuti kuzvichengetedza kunenge kwakamira sei, ende kuzvichengetedza kunoita kuti upenyu hwevanhu huende mberi. Saka handichina akawanda mubato wechigaro mazvita. Thank you.
Tinotenda Honorable Mananzwa maedzawo nemi kutaura nerurimi rwamai zvinokudzwa. Ndofunga mogara muchinzwa sachigaro muhombe headmaster vedu vechitaura izvozvo, vechikurudzira kutaura nerurimi rwamai. Saka ini saprefect wavo ndingofamba napo tichitenda kana muchisimudzira rurimi rwamai. Munotendwa. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Elzemura. Honorable Zemura, please take the floor. Your name is here on the list.
Honorable inini handina kunzwa kuti mati kudini. I'm sorry, may you repeat your statement?
No, you are supposed to be the next member to take the floor and debate on this bill that is before us.
I'm sorry, I can't debate. I can't debate today.
Okay, we shall move on then. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Matara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise to contribute on the OSH bill. My contribution is just going to be centered on Clause 3 and Clause 4 of the bill. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, to point out that Clause 3 is the backbone of this entire bill because it lays down the key definitions that will guide interpretation and enforcement. Yet it leaves out two of the most important terms in modern occupational safety practices. That is unacceptable risk and reasonably practicable. Honorable Speaker, our stakeholders across the country, from teachers, miners, and factory workers to OSH experts, were clear that without these definitions, the law will be open to abuse. The committee observed that this ambiguity will lead to inconsistent enforcement, where each inspector or employer may interpret risk differently. Honorable Speaker, this inconsistency will not only frustrate the employers, but it will put workers' safety in danger. Imagine a situation where a worker raises a safety concern and the employer responds by saying the risk is acceptable, while the inspector thinks it is unacceptable. What then happens? Whose judgment will prevail? Without clear definitions, accidents will continue to happen and no one will be accountable. Honorable Speaker, the committee's recommendations is very clear that this clause be modernized by aligning definitions with international standards such as ISO 45001 and ILO conventions. This will not only improve clarity, but also ensure Zimbabwe keeps up with global best practices and avoids loopholes that may lead to litigation, delays, and unnecessary workplace hazards. I firmly support this recommendation. Honorable Speaker, Clause 4 creates the Department of Occupational Safety Health, but it places it under the National Social Security Authority, that is NASA. The structure was rejected. The structure was rejected loudly during public hearings in all the provinces. The committee observed serious concerns about loss of independence if this department remains under NASA. NASA already manages workers' compensation funds. To also make it enforcement would create a dangerous conflict of interest. Mr. Speaker, international models such as the United Kingdom's Health and Safety Executive shows that independence strengthens public trust and improves regulatory fairness. Honorable Speaker, I strongly recommend that this department must either report directly to the responsible ministry and consequently Parliament, not NASA. This will ensure transparency, accountability, and professionalism in safety regulations. I so submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Matara. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable J. Mapiki.
Maita basamba to chigaro. Ikamkana kamandipa. ini ndo support ndinotsigira bhiri zvazviri, asi ndanga ndine mamwe ananga ndichifunga kuti zvakasara kuti zvinge zvinotariswa. Pane pavakaburisa kuti inonzi workplace kana zvaitikira pavanoshandira, asi tikutarisa nyaya yekuti vanogona kunge vane 10 kilometers kubva pavanoshandira ndokwavanogara vachipuhwa nekambani ikoko. Sezvakafanana nepaZimbabwe pokuti vanogara 10 kilometers kudzimba dzavo, asi vachizobva ipapo vachienda kubasa. Saka kudzimba kwavo kana kusina kugara kwakanaka vanogona kukuwarira ikoko. Asi takazoona vamwe vashandi vakunzi aiwa hamuna kukuwarira pabasa pamunoshandira. Saka izvozvo zvangafanira kuti pabhiro iroro zvinge zvichitarisiswa, nenyaya yekuti kambani inokunge ichipa motikari dzisina utano hwakakwana, vanhu voita tsaona vari panzira yekubva kwavanogara iri nzvimbo yekambani vachienda pavanoshandira. Zvinofanira kunge zvichitarisirwa izvozvo kuti kana wakuwarira pakati apa vanenge vachizoitwa zvakaita sei. Saka nyaya yeworkplace inofanira kunge yakanatsa kutarisiswa zvakakwana. Imwe nyaya ndaifunga kuti patarisiswe mubato wechigaro ndeyekuti vazhinji vari kuuya kunopinza vanhu basa kunoku vari kubva kune dzimwe nyika dzinenge dzisina gwaro kana kuti mutemo fanike yedu iyi. Saka vazhinji vacho vari kuzopedzisira vachienda vachinokanganisa mitemo yedu. Saka ndaifunga kuti panofanira kunge pachibudiswa pachena kuti vanhu ivo vasati atanga bhizinesi muno anotofanira kunge iwo muridzi webhizinesi anga aenda kutraining, nekuti tikuona vashandi vakawanda vachihakwa nemagiredha vachisumudzwa mudenga, vamwe vanogariswa muzvimba zvisina kunaka, vamwe vanongonzi pindai kana munhu musingaitwe. Saka panofanira kuti iwo vari kuuya vanyu ava zvakanyanya kunanga panyaya dzekuchera, nekuti ndokwataona kwano vakawanda vanobva kunze kwedzimwe nyika vachiuya. Saka vanouyawo kunze kwedzimwe nyika ivo vanenge vasina mitemo yedu. Nyange tikadzidzisa vashandi wedu ipapo manyara nokuti vanga vachizvichengetedza, asi kana ivo varidzi vemakambani vasingazvinzwisise zvinoita kuti zvatiri kuita zvese zvitadze kuita. Saka ndaifunga kuti ipapo panofanira kunge pachitarisirwa zvakanaka kuti ngauve mutemo unobva watosungirwa kunzi munhu aitanga basa rake kana kuti maini yake kana kiremu yake iye pache zvake zvina bhizinesi kana asiriwo muno munyika ngaaende anodzidziswa kuchengetedzwa kunoitwa zvinhu zvakasiyana siyana kana vachiita mabasa, nokuti basa rakawanda rakuno rare kumamines. Pane pakataurwa nyaya yechirungu chakanzi hazardous substance. Ndizvozvo izvozvo zvinofanira pakataurwa mutemo uyu, paitariswa mutemo uyu wakanga tisati takutarisa zvinhu zvinouraya zvinoshandiswa pamabasa akadai, taitarisa zvishoma. Asi zvinezvi pane urongwa kana kuti pane system yakushandiswa nevari kuchera gold, totarisa kugold. Pane yavanoti nyaya yehip reaching, mishonga yakushandiswa patakaita mabhill aya akawanda yanga isati yakushandiswa. Saka tinofanira kuti tipange pachinatsa kupasanurwa zvakakwana kuti marevel acho kana kuti mishonga yacho iyoyo inenge yakaita sei, nekuti zvirwere zvaakubuda imomo pamazuva akanyorwa mitemo yakawanda tanga asati akuzviona, nekuti mishonga yakushandiswa yayechizvino zvino inogona kukuwadza munhu panguva yakati Saka panofanira kunge pachitarisiswa ipapo. Okupedzisira mubato wechigaro, pandakatarisa bhiri iri handina kuona pakaburiswa, nokuti patakamboona kuGermany vakaburisa zviri pachena nyaya yemasex workers, nokuti vatoriwo vashandi nemaemployers avo. Saka nyaya iyoyo kune muZimbabwe munomu kana kuti pabhiri iri ndaona kunge yakanyararwa, haina kutaurwa nezvayo, nekuti nyaya yemasex workers hatichaitiza kana tikatoiramba asi iri kuita. Saka taida kuona kuti kudzivirirwa kwevashandirwi nevashandi kunenge kwakaita sei kana zvazosvika pakaipa, nekuti tiri kuona
point of order.
Yes, what is your point of order, Honorable Bajila?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Maybe Honorable Mapigi could assist us how sex workers could find themselves with workplace injuries. I thank you.
Honorable Mapigi, endera imberi nemutauro wenyu.
maita basa mbato chigaro mandibvumbamira nekuti ndanga ndiri mushishangu rokutarisa nyika dzakawanda ndakatarisa nyaya yevashandi ivava vanoshanda nemabasa avo kunzi zve6 worker pachirungu. Zvinototi kune dzimwe nyika zvakutotarisiswa kuti pange pane kudzivirirwawo kuvashandirwi nevashandirwi ivo vanoita nenyaya idzodzi. Saka ndaifunga kuti kana iyo komiti yakaita iyi yaifanira kunge yakapatarisa kuitira kuti mangwana tisazodzokera futi pano takuita maamendment pamabhiri akati wandei. Saka ndo pamwe pananga ndichiti aiwa kana rakuya bhiri ngaribva rangobata kwese kuitira kuti tisazoti mangwana ngatidzokere futi tigadzise papi ipapa, nokuti iwo chitori chikundiwo kana chikwatawo chinotozvimiririra chinogona kuti kana tikaenda kumamisha chinenge chichitionesawo moto kuti tigadzise mutemo inoita kuti zvinge zvipo, nokuti senyika yeZimbabwe hatichazviramba, pasi rese hazvicharambika. Saka taura kuti tione kuti pange pachitarisiswawo. Mubato wechigaro ndoda kukutendai nemukana wamandipa kuti nditaure mashoko mairi andataurawo maita basa.
Tatenda Honorable Mapiki. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Imasu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to strongly support Safety and Health Bill and to commend the Second Republic for bringing such a progressive and transformative piece of legislation before this august House. Mr. Speaker, for years, Zimbabwe operated under outdated laws such as the Factories and Works Act of 1948. It took the bold leadership of the Second Republic to modernize this framework and align our safety laws with international standards. Honorable Speaker, public consultations across all provinces showed overwhelmed support for this bill. Workers, employers, unions, and communities did not reject this bill. They strengthened it. That is how participatory democracy works under new dispensation. Mr. Speaker, stakeholders highlighted key issues that reinforce the government's vision: the need for clearer definitions to ensure strong enforcement, an institutional structure that promotes accountability, and stronger hazard and risk management systems that match rapid industrialization drive. Mr. Speaker, they also called for meaningful worker participation through safety committees and for inspectors who are certified, well-trained, and transparent in their work. These recommendations complement government's commitment for professional public institutions. Mr. Speaker, the public welcomed the Accident Prevention and Workers' Compensation Fund, emphasizing the need for strong governance in line with Second Republic's anti-corruption values. Mr. Speaker, in closing, this bill is evidence that under President Mnangagwa leadership in Zimbabwe is not moving backwards, but going forward. It is proactive governance, modern leadership, and real reform. I proudly support this bill and the government's effort to build safer, more productive Zimbabwe, not forgetting our committee for public service, for a good job well done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Masugu. Honorable members, you recall that earlier on, after Honorable Bajila's debate, I had called upon Honorable Ndo to take the floor, and he wasn't in the house, but I see he's back now, so I will indulge him to take the floor right now. Honorable Ndo.
Ndikoliwa mfaro wa mshumo masiariano woto hani batho nda ndikoliwa wa tshipiḓa hetshi tsha uri ndi shele mulenzhe kha mulayotibe hoyu uno khou vhona nga kushumele kwa vhathu na u tsireledza vhathu mishumoni une khou vha ndi occupational safety and health. Ya mulayotibe hoyu ndi vhona u mulayo wavhuḓi nga maanḓa ngauri u khou yamba na u tsireledza vhashumi. Kanzhi kanzhi zwi a wanala mishumoni hafha uri vhathu vha soko shuma, vho no shuma zwa tshifhinga tshilapfu lapfu a wana muthu soko pfhi hai kha ṱuwe o ralo a songo wana malamba awe. Zwino ri khou ri muvhuso wa Second Republic uno khou vha fhasi havho His Excellency Vho Mnangagwa, vho Doctor washu, wo ita zwavhuḓi nga maanḓa uri u vhone uri vhashumi ndi vhone vha no shumela shango, vhashumi ndi vhone vha no ita uri ikonomi ya shango iye phanḓa. Ngazwo wa zwi vhona zwo tea uri u ḓise hoyu mulayo kana mulayotibe i u itela uri hafha mishumoni vhathu vha shume zwavhuḓi, vhathu vho tsireledzea, vhathu vha songo wela dzi khomboni vha tshi shuma. Hafha mishumoni vhathu vha vhone uri vha khou wana ndambedzo, vha khou wana malamba o fanelaho, vha khou shumiswa fhedzi vha pfhi vho no swika tshifhinga tsha uri vha ṱuwe vha soko ṱuwa vho ralo vha songo sedziwa uri vha shuma hani. Hoyu mulayotibe u khou dovha hafhu u thusa hafha uri mishumoni hu songo vha na dzikhombo. Ndi kanzhi kana ri swika uri ndi lunzhi ri tshi wana vhathu vha tshi huvhala hafha mishumoni vha sa wani dzimbadelo ngeno maṱukuṱuku. Ndi khou ri hai, hoyu mulayotibe u ḓo zwi ita uri hu vhonale mishumoni hafha uri dzoṱhe hedzi khamphani dzi no khou hira vhathu dzi khou tevhedzela milayo yo ṅwaliwaho fhasi nga mivhuso, dzi khou tevhedzela uri vhathu vha songo huvhala hafha mishumoni. Kharali vhathu vha huvhala vha bve vho fhiwa zwo teaho zwo vha linganaho. Nga heneyo maṱukuṱuku ndi khou ri mutshimbidzi mushumo ri a livhuwa nga maanḓa. Ndaa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ndo. Now I call upon the Honorable Minister, the Deputy Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. For affording me the opportunity to comment on the debates. I will start with Honorable Malinganiso, the comments on Honorable Malinganiso. Honorable Maninganiso indicated that the bill omits definitions of critical terms. We'll take note of that. And also, he said that when they were moving around during consultations, there was concern over the placement of the OSH bill under NASA. I had indicated that the setting out of the role of we did the setting out of the role of NASA in implementing the provisions of this act. We will look into that because Honorable Malinganiso, you indicated that the Department of OSH, if it's placed under NASA, it will limit institutional independence. So the bill, the OSH department should be established as an autonomous entity. And also you recommended the hotline. We'll also look at that. And then there is an issue that you raised that clause 12 and 12 and 13 are being duplicated. And Honorable Stolle also raised that issue, that there is a repetition in the two clauses and they should be merged. We'll also look at that. Honorable Stolle, you also indicated that we should define how often training must be conducted and ensure that training is aligned with the recognized provisions for the workers, so that every worker receives training for safety. Then Honorable Bajila, thank you for supporting the bill. And you say there is need to create clarity in terms of roles. That is the role of NASA and also the role of the advisory council. And as you moved on, you also had the opinion of the chairman, Honorable Mandlingani, so that NASA shouldn't, the OSH bill shouldn't have anything to do with NASA. And I have already indicated that we will look at that. You also say that the public proposed to move the department to the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare. And you indicated that there is a gap on the absence of safety committee, which needs to be looked into. I will also take note of that because we have to discuss as a ministry with my minister to see which recommendations we should take. And also there was Honorable Mananja. Your deliberations were in Shona and Maitabasa Nokutsigira bill. You said that bill rikubatsira pachena kuchengetedzeka kwevashandi rinoita kuti vashandi vashande vasingavhunduke, rinopa masimba kuvashandi nokuzivisa kodzero dzavo. Tokutendai nokutsigira bill. Tichaona sezvamataura kuti bill harifanirwi kusiya munhu kana nzvimbo. Tichaona kuti patichaita bill iri hapana munhu kana nzvimbo inosara. Honorable Mapiki zvakare mataura nerurimi rwamai muchiti kambani inopa mota, kambani inokwanisa kupa mota dzisina kunyatsogadzirwa zvakanaka. Zvakadaro, pane nyaya yekuti munhu kana akuvarira panzvimbo yaanoshandira. Saka munhu kana akakuvara ari kwaari ukoko nemota, mati zvinyatsotariswa kuti distance nokuti akuvara ari pakadii. Anokwanisa kunge akuvarira sezvamataura kuti kudzimba pamwe 10 kilometers kudzimba kwavanenge vachigara, vobva vanzi havana kukuvarira pabasa. Honorable Mapiki matsigira zvakare bill, tokutendai nekutsigira bill. Mazotaura zvakare nyaya yema-sex workers, muchiti ma-sex workers anofanirwa kunge achipiwawo kodzero dzavo nokutaurwawo zvakare kuti vangachengetedzwe sei. Tichatarisa kuti zvoitwa sei panyaya yema-sex workers, nokuti ndofunga muri kureva kuti izvo vazhinji pavanenge vari kubasa iroro vanokwanisa kubayiwa nebanga kana kupiwa mishonga inenge isingafaniri. Saka tichatarisa kuti zvinenge zvakamira sei. Kazhinji vazhinji pavanga vachitaura panga paine repetition. I want to move on also to the chairman's recommendations. Honorable Malinganiso, you recommended the hotline, and also you indicated that in clause 11, the bill does not mandate worker safety. We will look at the clause to see how it can cover that issue. And you also say that there is need for whistleblowers, and also section 37 to 39, there should be establishment of the workers' fund. We'll also look at the sections to see how the workers' fund can fit in there. And you said that we should amend the bill to prevent abuse of the workers' fund also. Then Honorable Ndo Mataura Nechi and Zotichi Nechi Fenda Mataura Nechi Fenda. Thank you for supporting the bill. You have supported the bill. You said that if I'd heard you well, the bill is a good bill, and you said that we should minimize injury at workplace, but you also indicated that the bill assists in reducing injuries at workplace, and then you ended saying that all companies must follow procedures so that whenever there are workers' injuries, they have to compensate those workers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Are you going to move for adjournment, or you? I pose the question that the Occupational Safety and Health Bill, HB 6/2025, be now read a second time. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed, and the clerk will read the bill for the second time.
Occupational Safety and Health Bill, HB 6 2025.
What day for committee, Honorable Minister?
Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. I now recognize the acting Chairman Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Sorry, I'm just waiting for the chair to finalize with the question.
Okay.
All right, my apologies.
Yes,
Mr.
acting
Speaker,
Government Chief Whip.
sir, I move that orders 4, 5, and 4, 5B, orders number 4, 5, 6 be stood over until 7 and 8 has been disposed with. I thank you.
Who seconds?
I second, Mr. Speaker.
Right. The clerk will read the 7th order of the day.
Committee consideration of the adverse report by the Parliamentary Legal Committee on statutory instruments numbers 89 of 2005, 90 of 2005, 91 of 2005, 25, 92 of 2025, 93 of 2025, 94 of 2025, 95 of 2025, 96 of 2025, 97 of 2025, 98 of 2025, 100 of 2025, 102 of 2025, 107 of 2025, 109 of 2025, 110 of 2025, 111 of 2025, 112 of 2025, 114 of 2025, 115 of 2025, 116 of 2025, 117 of 2025, 118 of 2025, and 121 of 2025.
Thank you. The whole House will be in committee.
Order. Order. Honorable members on my left, can you please pay attention? The Committee of the Whole House will take into consideration the report from the Parliamentary Legal Committee on Statutory Instruments, A 89 of 25, Plumtree Town Anti-Litter Bylaws, B 90 of 2025, Plumtree Town Traffic Clamping and Tow Away Bylaws, C 91 of 2025, Plumtree Town Control of Livestock Bylaws, D 92 of 2025, Plumtree Town Workers and Vendors Bylaws, E93 of 2025, Plumtree Town Registration and License Premises Bylaws, F94 of 2025, Plumtree Town Noise Bylaws, G95 of 2025, Plumtree Town Fire Bylaws, H96 of 2025, Plumtree Town Cemeteries Bylaws, I97 of 2025, Plumtree Town Dog Licensing and Control Bylaws, J98 of 2025, Plumtree Town Environmental and Natural Resources Conservation Bylaws, K100 of 2025, City of Mashingo Dog Licensing and Control Bylaws, L102 of 2025, City of Mashingo Registration and License Premises Bylaws, M107 of 2025, Plumtree Town Advertising Bylaws, N109 of 2025, Plumtree Town Taxi Cab Bylaws, O110 of 2025, Plumtree Town Hairdressers, Beauticians and Barbers Shop Bylaws, P111 of 2025, Plumtree Town Occupation of Council Properties Bylaws, Q112 of 2025, Plumtree Town Water Sewage and Drainage Bylaws, R114 of 2025, in Caesar Road District Council Traffic Clamping and Tow Away Bylaws, S 115 of 2025, in Caesar Road District Council Environmental and Natural Resources Conservation Bylaws, T 116 of 2025, in Caesar Road District Council Registration and License Premises Bylaws, U 117 of 2025, in Caesar Road District Council Anti-Litter Bylaws, V 118 of 2025, City of Mashingo Workers and Vendors Bylaws, and W 121 of 2025 City of Masvingo anti-litter bylaws. I call upon the chairperson of the PLC.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I know it is unusual for the Parliamentary Legal Committee to present such a volume of adverse reports at one time. But please allow me to explain. The adverse reports against these various statutory instruments fall into three categories. The first category addresses statutory instruments which were promulgated by the Minister of Local Government, citing the wrong clause. The clause that he cited, quite unfortunately, does not allow him to himself present these bylaws. These bylaws, under the provision that he cited, only the district councils themselves can do so. I think we must make a distinction here between bylaws and statutory, the bylaws which are made by the council themselves, and provisions which are made by the minister. So the first batch.
I have a point of order.
Yes.
Order. What's the point of order, Honorable?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My point of order with regards to may the fellow honorable stand guided when a point of order is being addressed. He has to sit down. Honorable Chair, I stand to point out that with regards to the POC presentation by the member of the POC, is it in good standing that he does a presentation when we are doing items of the Committee on Supply? We go item by item, or he's talking to the overall presentation as in they had presented an adverse or a non-adverse report?
The Honorable Chairperson is in order. Everything is in one report. So we are debating what's in the report. I hope you have been answered, Honorable Tseami.
Not clear, Honorable Chair, but I don't stand to debate with you as you being the chair. But however, the presentation by the Honorable Chair from the PLC committee touches on a lot of clauses on the Committee of Supply. Henceforth, how then do we debate?
This is an adverse report. Honorable Chairperson, you may
On a
proceed.
point of order, Madam Chair, on a point of order.
What's your point of order?
Madam Chair, whilst I understand your ruling, it is important, we are now in the Committee of Supply. That adverse report that the PLC is talking about, we have not been availed. So there is no way that we can do the Committee of Supply with absolutely no document, because the Committee of Supply is supposed to go amendment by amendment, clause by clause. We cannot do that without the adverse report that the chairperson is talking about. So I ask that, like you have done for the Mines and Minerals Act, the adverse report, that we be availed that adverse report so that we are able to go through it stage by stage, not for us to be read by the PLC what they decided in their own committee. I thank you.
Honorable Mateo, this is not a Committee of Supply, it's an adverse report, and the adverse report was circulated. The adverse report was circulated to all members of Parliament.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Oh, we'll have to check.
Madam Chair.
But I am being advised that it was circulated.
We have received, Madam Chair, we have received 2 adverse reports. The one on the state service pension bill and the one on the minerals bills. The one which the chair of the PLC is speaking about has not been shared with us. The state service pension, we have received it. The mines, we have received it. This one, we have not received it. We are not in a position to debate it.
Point of clarity, Madam Speaker.
Yes, go ahead, Honorable Mkwadi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Maybe I'm not seeking to argue per se, Madam Speaker, but just to make a clarification regarding the adverse reports. These bills, when they've been brought to the PLC, they have a time frame within which they must be attended by the committee, after which an adverse report or a go-ahead is given. So let us assume the meeting has taken place today to consider the constitutionality of these bills, as well as in terms of whether they conform to the parent acts of Parliament from which they should derive authority. If the meeting, let's assume, has taken place today, and in the committee's wisdom, there were issues that were unconstitutional and areas where the statutory instrument or the bill was found to be ultra-virus, the provisions of the parent act of Parliament from which it derives authority, or the Constitution. The committee at law and according to the procedures of this House is entitled to present its adverse report on that particular day in order to make sure that the committee does not fall short of, does not fall off the legality ruler. So at this, in this matter, what I'm saying is, may the House allow Honorable Zobo to present the adverse report. Maybe what I understand from members as saying is that Honorable Zobo should clarify the matters. You see, the problem, Madam Speaker, with due respect, these are matters of the law. You should not just throw yourself or throw basis of arguments. This is a committee of the law. So I'm saying, Honorable Zobo may be, from what I'm understanding, Madam Speaker, is being requested by members from both houses maybe to go into detail with each particular adverse report. But, and I don't see any problems with that. The PLC, through its acting chair, Honorable Zobo, can proceed to do it for the benefit of members. But so I don't find any matter of law arising here. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mkwadi, for the clarity. Everything is in order and we are going to proceed. If the members have not yet received the report, it's going to be circulated. Honorable Jobo, you may proceed.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Last week we had this committee. Last week we had this committee regarding the state service bill. The ruling was that we must get the bill first. Why is it different now?
Honorable Bajila, I did not give you a chance to speak, and I've made a ruling. We are proceeding. The report is being circulated.
But Madam Speaker, how do we debate what we have not read and we don't know?
Honorable Bajila, I did not recognize you. May you please take your seat? Thank you. Honorable Jobo, you may proceed.
After I finish my presentation, we will halt and then debate can continue. We will want to make sure that all honorable members are armed. But to deal with some of these issues that were raised, these are a huge number of adverse reports citing different statutory instruments. What I wanted to do was to take you through them, to classify them into different groups, and then hope that if you have questions, you may then pose your questions at a future debate. I've been allowed to proceed by the chair. Please allow me to proceed, and then let's see what happens. Madam Chair, there are three different groups that are involved here. One of these groups, the first group of statutory instruments that have received adverse reports, is about statutory instruments in which the Honourable Minister cited the wrong legislation. Okay, I will name them. If you want me to, I can go through them and name them, but that is the first group. The Honourable Minister cited the erroneous legislation empowering him to make those statutory instruments. The second group involves what is clearly an error by the Ministry of Local Government, whereby they describe fines for various statutory instruments, for various violations, but the fines are described as being 0,0000. You cannot have a statutory instrument with fines of 0, which is clearly a clerical error, and I'm quite sure that I think it's a straightforward issue. The PLC cannot approve a statutory instrument which purports to present fines, and all the fines are 0,0000. I don't think that is something that needs much debate on that issue. It must have been a clerical error. It might indicate that the legal department of the relevant ministry is not going through the legislation appropriately, but I don't think there could be much debate about us passing an adverse report which has fines of 0. The third group involves statutory instruments which prescribe fines which exceed what is authorized by the enabling legislation. What do I mean by this? Well, what I mean by this is that Parliament has passed legislation dealing with rural district councils. In that legislation, Parliament has set limits as to the level of fines that can be prescribed by the minister or the rural district councils. This third group involves statutory instruments in which all the limits prescribed by this House have been exceeded. Those are the three groups. If the honourable members wish me to take you through what are apparently 24 statutory instruments that we are presenting an adverse report about in detail, I can do so. I stand guided by the chairman whether we can continue this debate at another time or I seek her guidance on this particular issue. Thank you.
You may continue.
On a point of order, Madam Chair.
Order. What's a point of order?
Madam Chair, the acting chairperson of the PLC is saying he wants to go through 24 statutory instruments without us receiving nothing. You want us to grasp from our heads like kindergarten kids 24 statutory instruments without any information on our phones. I think we are taking this House for granted, Madam Chair. We cannot continue with this debate when we don't have the information. He can't narrate to us 24 statutory instruments and we are expected to grasp every single one of those statutory instruments. Point of order. I stand guided. Thank you.
Point of order. Honorable Matewe, everything is in order. Like I have said before, he's presenting a report and it's going to be circulated. So may you allow him to continue? It's being circulated.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
What's your point of order, Honorable Mwadi?
You see, Madam Speaker, I think the challenge we are having here is one of failing to identify what is the purpose of the PLC
and what is the purpose of this report, and to whom is this report given. Like I've said, Honorable Chair, like what I've said, the PLC has sat down and considered the statutory instruments brought to it by Parliament through administration, isn't it? We agree. It has sat down, it has deliberated on the statutory instruments in question. It has made its own judgment out of its own wisdom. There is nothing wrong with members in the House questioning the wisdom of the PLC because it's not an alpha and omega. I'm still speaking. Madam Speaker, I'm still speaking. I think the matters that I'm making here are not suggestive. They are exactly procedural, Honorable Speaker. When the PLC has considered and made its judgment on those statutory instruments, it presents to the House, like what Honorable Zoboy has done in summary. He went on to say, if it befits the House that he goes to each statutory instrument as they are 24, detail by detail, one by one, as long as members are women dry about time with it, there's no problem. But he gave a summary of the instruments used by the PLC to make judgments on this statutory instrument. What it means, therefore, Madam Speaker, is that members raising issues are raising issues with the wrong person. It is not the duty of the chairperson of the PLC to circulate the opinion they have made. It is the duty of Parliament. He is not the secretariat of the committee. So therefore, if those things are not available, that should not then be used to aim guns at the chairperson of the PLC. You are accusing him because, Madam Speaker, that is why you are saying you cannot debate out of his mouth.
Honorable Mkwati, sit down. You are out of order.
Order. Honorable members on my left, may we have order? Honorable Mkwati, thank you. Honorable Mateo and the other honorable members on my left, I have made a ruling already. We are following, this is the correct procedure, and we are going to continue. He's going to continue with presenting his debate, with his report. And if you are not yet ready to debate, it's not like we are terminating the adverse report today. You can always debate at a later stage. So may you allow him to present his report. Honorable Shobo, you may proceed. Can you please switch on your mic?
Let's start with the three groups again. By-law making authority. The minister said the power of the urban and rural district councils by making powers as reflected in statutory instruments 90, 92, 93, 100, 114, and 115 of 2025. In terms of the Urban Councils Act, Chapter 25, in sections 2018, 2017, and 2022, bylaws are to be made by the Council and subsequently submitted to the Minister for approval. Section 23 of the Act reads as follows. Subject to this section and Section 229 and of any other law, a council may make bylaws for all or any of the matters referred to it in Section 227 and may at any time thereafter amend or repeal any bylaws so made. I can proceed to read this verbatim, but I think your attention will wander. I've categorized these bylaws into three sections. This is the first section, whereby the minister relied on the wrong statute in order to enact the bylaws. I would like to proceed to the second section. The second section deals with excessive penalties. Statute Instruments 114, 115, and 116 of 2025 reflect penalties which exceed the level stipulated in the Enabling Act. In terms of Section 235, as read with Part 1 of the third schedule of the Urban Councils Act, stipulate that penalties exceeding 200 US dollars in the bylaws are not permitted. It's a contravention of the Principal Act. This set of such instruments exceed the limit which you as the House have set for the minister to regard and obey. So that is the second section. Then I go to the third section of statutory instruments. I'm not going to read the whole report. I'm going to go to the third section, whereby the ministry inadvertently published fines of 0,000. And this covers quite a large number of statutory instruments. And I think it's quite straightforward that you cannot have a statutory instrument which has a fining component of 0,000. I thereby submit that this is an adverse report based on a number of technicalities and which can be presented to other members of the House. I therefore submit, Madam Chair.
Honorable Chair, can you please approach? Can you please come in front? Honorable Chair, can you please come to the front? And can you please switch off your mic? Order. Is there any debate?
On a point of order, Madam Chair.
Honorable Mateo, you are out of order.
I'm giving a point of order in terms of Section 18.
You are
please.
out of order.
I'm giving a point of order in terms of the law. And I'm allowed.
Can you please allow us to finish the process?
I'm allowed to give a point of order.
You are out of order. I've made
where
a
I
ruling.
feel that there's a point of order that needs to be given. But I'm standing here in terms of the standing orders.
You are out of order.
I'm standing in terms of the standing orders. That's why I'm giving you a point of order as the chairperson.
Is there any debate? I recognize the honorable
Yes, there's
chairman.
a debate.
Chairperson.
There's debate. There is debate.
Chairperson, you may proceed. Honorable Mateo, this is the last time I'm telling you you're out of order.
There is debate. We are in the committee stage. There is debate, and I'm allowed to do so. By the standing orders, I'm a member of parliament. I'm allowed to debate.
You said you had a point of order. Now you are saying you want to debate.
Yeah, but you said you overruled me and you said, is there any debate? I'm saying there is debate.
You are demonstrating that you're confused, Honorable Mateo. There's nothing that you want to say. Can you please?
But you can't tell me there's nothing that I want to say when I'm standing up here.
So that we finish. Thank you very much. Honorable Chair, you may proceed.
Honorable Chairperson, ma'am, I move that you report progress and seek leave to sit again.
It has been moved that I report progress and seek leave to sit again. Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I shall now report progress and seek leave to sit again. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Committee of the Whole House has considered the report of the Parliamentary Legal Committee on Statutory Instruments A. 89 of 2025 Plumtree Town Anti-Litter Bylaws, B. 90 of 2025 Plumtree Town Traffic Clamping and Tow Away Bylaws, C. 91 of 2025 Plumtree Town Control of Livestock Bylaws, D. 92 of 2025 Plumtree Town Hookers and Vendors Bylaws, E. 93 of 2025 Plumtree Town Registration and License Premises Bylaws, F. 94 of 2025 Plumtree Town Noise Bylaws, G. 95 of 2025 Plumtree Town Fire Bylaws, H. 96 of 2025 Plumtree Town Cemeteries Bylaws, I. 97 of 2025 Plumtree Town Dock Licensing and Control Bylaws, J. 98 of 2025 Plumtree Town Environmental and Natural Resources Conservation Bylaws, K. 100 of 2025 City of Mashingo Dock Licensing and Control Bylaws, L. 102 of 2025 City of Mashingo Registration and License Premises Bylaws, M. 107 of 2025 Plumtree Town Advertising Bylaws, N. 109 of 2025 Plumtree Town Taxi Cab Bylaws, O. 110 of 2025 Plumtree Town Hairdressers, Beauticians and Barbers Shop Bylaws, P. 111 of 2025 Plumtree Town Occupation of Council Properties Bylaws, Q. 112 of 2025 Plumtree Town Water, Sewage and Drainage Bylaws, R. 114 of 2025 in Caesar Road District Council Traffic Clamping and Tow Away Bylaws, S. 115 of 2025 in Caesar Road District Council Environmental and Natural Resources Conservation Bylaws, T. 116 of 2025 in Caesar Road District Council Registration and License Premises Bylaws, U. 117 of 2025 in Caesar Road District Council Anti-Litter Bylaws, V. 118 of 2025 City of Mashingo Hookers and Vendors Bylaws, and W. 125 of 2025 City of Mashingo Anti-Litter Bylaws.
What day for resumption of committee?
Honorable Chair, tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, we move on. The clerk will read the 8th order of the day.
Committee, consideration of the adverse report by the Parliamentary Legal Committee on the Public Service Amendment Bill, HB 8 2025.
Thank you. The whole House will be in committee.
Order. The Committee of the Whole House will take into consideration the report from the Parliamentary Legal Committee on the Public Service Amendment Bill, HB 8 of 2025. I call upon the chairperson of the PLC.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I trust honorable members have received a copy of this particular report. Thank you. The issues contained in this matter are of great importance to this House. I'm going to just give you a rundown, if you may allow me to give you a rundown of the importance of this amendment, and then, if necessary, I'll read it verbatim. As you honorable members may know, we have separation of powers. The judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. As you may well know, here at Parliament, the staff of Parliament are employed by Parliament itself through the Committee of Standing Orders and through the Speaker of Parliament. That is the position as it stands. Members of staff of Parliament are not civil servants. They are public servants. They are not civil servants, and the Constitution makes that very clear and specifically excludes the staff of Parliament from being civil servants. Having said that, this particular amendment actually intends to do exactly that, to do what is forbidden by the Constitution. What is the purpose of this amendment? The purpose of this amendment is to enable members of staff of Parliament to become civil servants and to be under the jurisdiction of the Public Service Commission, rather than, as is the case at this particular time, to be under the jurisdiction of this particular Parliament. And that is the crux of this particular matter. What does that mean? What would the consequences be? The consequences, if this amendment were to be approved, would be that the Clerk of Parliament and other senior members of Parliament, the senior staff, could be transferred to other departments. They could be other members from other civil service departments could be then allocated to Parliament. It would mean that the Speaker and the present structure of Parliament would be under the control of the civil service. That is the tenor of this agreement. Let me now proceed to read to you the relevant sections which would achieve this. In pursuit of its constitutional duties, as provided for in Section 102 of the Constitution, the Parliamentary Legal Committee, hereinafter referred to as the Committee, on the 23rd of October 2025, met to conclude its consideration of the Public Service Amendment Bill 2025. After deliberations, it unanimously resolved that an adverse report be issued in respect of this bill due to the following considerations. Clause 3 of the bill repeals Section 2 of the Principal Act, which provides for definitions and inserts new definitions which refines and expands the Act's definitions in key areas, such as approved services.
Order, Honorable Chair. Can you please read the report as it is?
I'm now doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Which now explicitly includes constitutional...
Order, Madam Chair.
Order. What's the point of order?
In his reading, the chair interchanges State Service Amendment Bill and Public Service Amendment Bill. These are two separate bills, and there must be clarity in terms of which one he is speaking to.
Thank you, Chairperson. May you be guided accordingly.
Madam Chair, if the chair insists...
There are two different bills. This is the Public Service Amendment Bill. I presented the State Services Pensions Bill, an adverse report on that about a week ago. This is the Public Service Amendment Bill.
You may continue.
I stand guided. The definition of approved services raises a constitutional concern insofar as it includes the staff of Parliament. The reason being the effect given by the definition when used in the clauses that follow. For example, in Clause 8, subsection 1E, it empowers the Commission, that is the Public Service Commission, to appoint persons from approved services or to second persons to offices, posts, and grades in the public service. Section 198 of the Constitution specifically excludes staff of Parliament from the public service. Section 154 of the Constitution empowers the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders to appoint staff of Parliament. Section 154, subsection 6, explicitly states that the Clerk of Parliament and other staff of Parliament are appointed on terms of service approved from time to time by the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders, and B, are public officers but do not form part of the civil service. In its current form, the definition of approved service has a ripple effect that will see constitutional invalidity. The continued use of this definition without amendment does imply a legislative intention to subsume parliamentary staff within the category of approved services. Parliament constitutes a separate constitutional authority, and any consultation regarding its personnel should be conducted with the appropriate parliamentary body, not with a ministry. Parliamentary staff form part of the legislative branch of the state and are not subject to the administrative control of the Public Service Commission. Their appointments, secondments, and transfers fall under the exclusive purview of the CSRO. The position is reinforced by Section 199(2)(b) of the Constitution, which explicitly states that parliamentary staff are not members of the public service. Consequently, parliamentary staff cannot be classified under any framework that defines approved services as part of the public service. To include parliamentary staff within the scope of approved services would confer upon the Commission powers of appointment, transfer, and secondment that are constitutionally reserved for the CSRO. This would clearly violate the principle of separation of powers as provided for in Section 3(2)(e) and infringes upon Section 1545 and 1992 of the Constitution. The amendment provides for functions. Further to this, the amendment provides for functions of the Public Service Commission that are differently expressed and not as it appears in Section 203 of the Constitution. A careful reading of the functions proposed in Clause 8 of the bill and those in Section 203 of the Constitution suggests that the bill attempts to unnecessarily refine, broaden, or recast the functions provided in the Constitution. This approach creates legislative uncertainty and confusion, especially in relation to interpreting the correct functions of the Public Service Commission. This is against the principle of legality, which requires laws to be clear, concise, precise, and not vague. The functions of the commissions in the Constitution were inserted in 2021 through an amendment, and there is no legal or constitutional basis to seek to refine, broader, or to recast them in the bill. Number 3, the committee found that the bill is inconsistent with Section 3 of the Constitution, as it prohibits rather than restricts the right to engage in collective job action under Clause 22B. The clause seeks to insert subsection 8 into the Act, which provides that members of the public service have the right to participate in collective job action unless they are employed in any department, service, or section of the public service that has been declared to be an essential service. Section 65(3) limits the rights to participate in collective job action for security services only. A law can only restrict, not prohibit, the exercise of the right to collective job action for employees in essential services. The Constitution is clear in creating 3 regimes for collective job action: a right to collective job action, a prohibition on security services, and restrictions on employees in essential services. The use of the phrase, unless they are employed in any department, service, or section of the public service that has been declared to be an essential service, suggests a prohibition and not a restriction. Restrictions denote the existence of procedures to permit the exercise of the right, albeit within specific set parameters and circumstances. The absence of such procedures or parameters in the amendment suggests that the amendment envisages restriction as a prohibition, which is inconsistent with the Constitution. The committee opines that clauses 3, 8, and 22 of the Public Service Amendment Bill contravene sections 55, 154, 199, and 203 of the Constitution, and so I submit.
Is there any debate? Honorable Chairperson.
To sit again.
It has been moved that I report progress and seek leave to sit again. Is there an objection? No objection, agreed to. I shall now report progress and seek leave to sit again. Mr. Speaker, sir, The Committee of the Whole House has considered the report of the Parliamentary Legal Committee on the Public Service Amendment Bill, HB 8 of 2025, reports progress and seeks leave to sit again.
Thank you. What day for resumption of committee? To tomorrow?
Till tomorrow.
Thank you. We proceed with notice of motion number 9, Honorable KARIKOGA.
Good evening, Honorable Speaker. I move the motion in my name.
Who seconds?
I second, Honorable Speaker.
All right, I call upon Honorable KARIKOGA to move his motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is the report of the Portfolio Committee on Transport and Infrastructural Development on road carnages in Zimbabwe. The introduction. Road accidents are among the leading causes of death globally, with approximately 1.19 million fatalities occurring annually. This is a WHO record. The burden of road traffic crashes is borne by low and middle income countries, which account for 92% of these fatalities, despite having only 60% of the world's vehicles. Zimbabwe exemplifies this trend, ranking as the second highest country in road accident fatalities, with 41 deaths per 100,000 people. Beyond the human toll, the economic consequences are staggering, with road traffic crashes costing the nation an estimated $400 million annually, an amount equivalent to a significant percentage of the country's GDP. In Zimbabwe, road traffic accidents are the third leading cause of death after HIV, AIDS, and TB. This is according to Zimstat in 2022. On average, more than 2,000 people die annually, while over 30,000 are injured, many of whom suffer lifelong disabilities. The impact of road accidents extends beyond human suffering. The economic costs, including healthcare expenditures, loss of productivity, vehicle damage, and infrastructure repair, are estimated to be 3% of Zimbabwe's GDP annually. Ending road carnages is therefore both a developmental and a humanitarian priority. Objectives of the inquiry. A, to identify the root causes of road accidents in Zimbabwe. B, to assess the effectiveness and interventions to end road carnages. C, to proffer recommendations for improvements. This report is informed by oral and written submissions from Engineer J.P. Makumbe, the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure Development, and officials from Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, VID as well, Zimbabwe Republic Police, and the Transporters Association representatives. It is from the oral evidence meetings that the committee gathered sufficient information to compile a comprehensive report on road accidents in the country. The committee findings. The committee was presented with alarming figures from ZRP and the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, indicating a significant rise in road traffic accidents across the country. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, 15,263 accidents were recorded, marking a 15% increase from the 13,317 cases reported during the same period in 2024. Of particular concern was the surge in road traffic accidents during the Easter and Independence holidays, where 384 accidents occurred, compared to 286 the previous year, representing a 34% increase. Although fatal accidents slightly decreased during this period, injuries rose from 159 to 178. The ZRP highlighted that 1,824 hit and run cases were recorded within the same time frame, underscoring the urgent need for strengthened road safety measures. The primary causes of road carnage. Examining the primary causes provides a foundation for evidence-based policy measures and targeted strategies to reduce road fatalities and injuries. In this regard, the following primary causes were identified by the committee. 1. Human error and behavior. The committee was informed by Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe and ZRP that over 85% of accidents are attributed to human error and behavior. Common issues include reckless overtaking, fatigue, speeding, and drunk driving. Transporters Association's representatives further informed the committee that passenger drivers often violate safety norms due to pressure to meet quota targets set by their employers. The ZRP reiterated that drivers in Zimbabwe also engage in distractions such as using mobile phones, which diverts attention from the road and increases the likelihood of collisions. VID further highlighted that fatigue, particularly among long-distance drivers, contributes to reduced concentration and poor decision-making. The following aspects of human error were identified by Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe in conjunction with ZRP as major contributors to road carnages. Misjudgment was also listed as one of the factors. A notable form of misjudgment occurs when drivers follow too closely behind other vehicles, accounting for approximately 15.3% of accidents. In such cases, impatience and unsafe driving behaviors result in insufficient stopping distances, making rear-end collisions almost inevitable when the vehicle ahead brakes suddenly. This behavior is particularly common during peak traffic hours in urban centers, where congestion creates pressure from drivers to close gaps aggressively. Additionally, misjudgment extends to poor assessment of overtaking opportunities, where drivers attempt to pass other vehicles on blind curves or in the face of incoming traffic, significantly increasing the risk of head-on collisions. Excessive speeding. Excessive speeding contributes to 11% of road accidents and remains a major concern in both urban and rural areas. Speeding reduces a driver's reaction time, limiting their ability to respond promptly to sudden hazards such as pedestrians, stray animals, unexpected obstacles on the road. Highways in particular have become hotspots for speeding-related fatalities, with drivers often disregarding speed limits In a bid to save time, urban roads are not spared either, as commuter omnibus and private vehicles frequently exceed safe speeds, especially during rush hour hours, endangering passengers and pedestrians as well as cyclists alike. Failure to give way. Failure to give way accounts for 7.7% of accidents and is most frequently observed at intersections, pedestrian crosses and roundabouts. This behavior often results from driver negligence, lack of patience, or a deliberate disregard for traffic regulations. In addition, drivers frequently fail to give right of way to pedestrians, who remain among the most vulnerable road users. Such incidences are not only indicative of a lack of driver discipline, but also highlight the need for greater enforcement of traffic rules to instill safer driving practices. Infrastructure deficiencies. The committee observed that most of Zimbabwe highways and feeder roads are dilapidated, characterized by potholes, inadequate signage, and insufficient pedestrian infrastructure. The Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe informed the committee that urban roads account for a high number of accidents, comprising of 57.2% of total incidences, primarily due to dense traffic flow and frequent stop-and-go movement. Dual carriageways account for 21.1% of accidents, while wide-tarred rural roads without fencing contribute 12.3% of accidents. Narrow urban roads record 9.6% of total incidences, where limited maneuvering space and congestion increase collision risks. Honorable Speaker, the vehicle defects also are among contributors to accidents. The committee noted that proliferation of old, poorly maintained vehicles and overloading is noticed along the roads where old AVM buses, chicken buses, travel with unaligned suspensions, which contributes to frequent brake failures and tire bursts. Weak enforcement at VID and ZRP inspection points, coupled with corruption, allows unroadworthy vehicles onto the roads, which resultingly sees these vehicles being involved in accidents. System failures. The committee was informed by Transport Association representatives that the shortage of reliable mass transit has forced the commuters to rely on informal operators, such as mushikashika vehicles, which are prone to overloading and reckless driving. Chase racing with police and council officers has become a growing concern, particularly involving informal operators and commuter omnibuses. In efforts to evade authorities often engage in dangerous maneuvers, leading to high-risk situations that endangers passengers, pedestrians, and other road users. Some drivers resort to using pavements which are designated for pedestrians, thereby increasing the risk of fatal accidents. Additionally, the Transporters Association representatives indicated that overloading in public vehicles is a persistent issue, with passengers often clinging on moving vehicles, particularly in rural areas where access to reliable transportation remains limited. The Transporters Association representatives further highlighted that informal operators and commuter omnibuses and increasingly driving off-road or positioning themselves in the middle of white road lines, forcing other drivers to yield or risk collisions. This behavior significantly heightens the chances of accidents. The interventions to end road carnages. The committee noted several operational and strategic interventions currently underway to reduce road carnage. These interventions are both preventative and reactive, targeting driver behavior, vehicle compliance, public education, and institutional integrity as follows. Number one, legislative and regulatory measures. Statutory Instrument 129 of 2015 mandates the use of speed limiting devices for public vehicles. And these are buses and heavy vehicles. Most drivers tend to overspeed as they will be in pursuit to meet daily targets set by their vehicle owners. This policy is a positive step towards ending road carnages, as it will limit overspeeding by drivers. However, its effectiveness is crippled by non-compliance, fraudulent certification, and lack of consistent monitoring. Many vehicles either installed them or have them tampered with. Spot fines. This system is used by ZRP to penalize traffic offenses on spot, with the intention of deterring reckless driving on the roads. This intervention has been arguably counterproductive and has been viewed as a revenue generation scheme rather than a safety tool. The common practice of negotiating and accepting bribes completely neglects the deterrent effect. It fosters a culture where offenses can be overlooked and encourages repeat behavior. The committee gathered that ZRP emphasized that any officer found accepting bribes faces immediate disciplinary action, including dismissal. This policy is supported by internal monitoring systems such as command registers at roadblocks and surprise audits by senior officers. The goal is to ensure that enforcement is fair, professional, and not compromised by personal interest. Vehicle checkpoints and police presence. The ZRP, particularly the traffic section, conducts operations, for example, termed the traffic jungle, and holiday season blitz operations, static and mobile checkpoints to check for licenses, insurances, roadworthiness, and overloading. Roadblocks have been increased by the ZRP, especially during high traffic periods such as Easter, Independence Day, and other national holidays. These are strategically placed across highways, urban roads, and accident-prone zones. The presence of police officers on the roads is aimed at deterring speeding, overloading, drunk driving, and the use of road unworthy vehicles in the first quarter of 2025 alone. The ZRP recorded 56,394 arrests and impounded 27,552 vehicles. These included pirate taxis, unlicensed buses, and improperly maintained vehicles. The committee noted that the high-profile operations during holidays show a short-term effect of reducing accidents during the campaign period. However, this is not sustainable because once the blitz is over, driver behaviors revert to their norm, thus rendering the system reactive and not proactive. The committee further noted that ZRP is critically under-resourced as they lack patrol vehicles, breathalyzers, speed guns, making consistent enforcement impossible. This therefore leads to an enforcement gradient where compliance is only high in areas where police are visibly present. educational and awareness campaigns. The ZRP, in collaboration with the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, conducts regular awareness campaigns to educate the public on safe road use. These initiatives target common violations like speeding, reckless overtaking, and driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Messages are disseminated via radio, social media, public billboards, and community outreach program. Motorists are also strongly advised to avoid traveling at night when the risk of accidents is significantly higher. Procurement of speed cameras and breathalyzers is being facilitated by the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, with a tender process already underway. The ZRP also intensified operations against vehicles that carry passengers or goods unsafely, including those with passengers hanging from the back or hiding number plates. These practices violate the Road Traffic Act and are subject to arrest and prosecution. However, the committee noted that when a driver is routinely arranged for a bribe or sees a visibly dangerous vehicle bypassing a checkpoint, the message of "don't drink and drive" or "obey speed limits" loses all credibility. Education cannot succeed in a vacuum when enforcement system is broken. In a bid to foster shared responsibility, passengers are encouraged to report errant drivers, including those who speed, overload, or violate road rules. The ZRP and Road Transporters Association's representatives believe that passengers' empowerment can act as an additional check on public service vehicles drivers and reduce impunity on the roads. Mr. Speaker, the ZRP works in close coordination with VID and the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe to carry out joint operations. These include vehicle spot checks, mechanical inspections, and verification of driver credentials. Through such partnerships, the police are better able to identify and remove unsafe vehicles from circulation, as well as enforce the use of speed governors in public transport. The committee, however, noted that as collaborations are undertaken, there is an element of pervasive corruption, which is the greatest factor nullifying enforcement efforts. The widespread acceptance of bribes means that traffic laws are not enforced objectively, and roadworthy vehicles, unlicensed drivers, and serious traffic violations are routinely overlooked for a bribe. This therefore erodes public trust and instills a sense of impunity among offenders. Technological interventions. A major initiative under development is the Smart Traffic Enforcement System being developed by TEL1, which will rely on electronic monitoring and ICT-based enforcement, with Harare Central Police Station having piloted the Electronic Command Center. Plans are underway to introduce the ZRP with detection devices such as breathalyzers and speed trap machines. These innovations aim to reduce reliance on high-speed police chases, especially involving informal operators, by enabling remote vehicle identification through number plate and facial recognition technologies. Observations. The committee observed the negative impact of an unreliable mass public transportation system. The absence of adequate and regulated public transportation forces citizens to rely on unregistered pirate taxis. There are serious concerns about police officers allegedly operating pirate taxis. The committee noted with dismay the practice of ZRP and the municipal police engaging in high-speed chases with unlicensed vehicles, a scenario which poses great danger to passengers and pedestrians. The committee observed that the newly introduced smart traffic management system is a critical solution to ending accidents that emanate from human error and behavior, as it will allow for non-confrontational tracking and identification of traffic offenders. We should also note another system which came from Zinara that does much better. The committee observed that the commuter omnibus zoning proposals restrict commuter omnibus to operate within a specific area and require them to carry identification markers to aid enforcement. This system would support the traceability of commuter omnibuses while targeting informal operators. The committee noted with concern the continued reports of bribery at roadblocks. This practice has led to road unworthy vehicles passing through the police-manned roadblocks, with some resulting in serious accidents after passing these roadblocks. The committee expressed concern over the poor handling of foreign trucks involved in accidents. Often, such trucks remain unattended on roads for extended periods, thus posing a safety risk.
Order, Honorable KARIKOGA. Honorable members at the back there. What is happening? Please, you can't be shouting in Parliament. If you want to talk, lower your voices. It's not fair. You may continue, Honorable KARIKOGA.
Honorable Speaker, let me go to the recommendations. We came up with 6 recommendations. The Minister of Transport and Infrastructure Development and the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage should ensure that Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, VID, and ZRP shifts from random blitz to targeted enforcement based on crash data through deploying resources to non-black spots for speeding, drunk driving, and road unworthy vehicles by November 30, 2025. The second recommendation, the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage should ensure that ZRP fully invest in technology that involve the rolling out of automated enforcement in terms of speed cameras, red light cameras, and eliminate human discretion by 31 December 2025. The Ministry of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage should ensure that ZRP strictly enforce routes, specifically routes to licensed operators, to regulate the chaotic pirate taxis and combi system. And all road unworthy vehicles holding vehicle owners criminally liable for offences committed by their drivers under pressure, including overloading, speeding, to meet targets and quotas by 30 November 2025. The fourth recommendation, Ministry of Transport and Home Affairs should ensure that Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, VID, and ZRP practice zero tolerance to corruption through severe penalties for officers caught asking for bribes and introduction of body-worn cameras by 30 November 2025. Number 5, the Ministry of Transport must make safety audits mandatory for all new constructions and upgrades, with giving priority to to pedestrian crossings, lightings, and signage by 30 November 2025. The last recommendation. The Ministry of Transport and Home Affairs should ensure that Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe and ZRP pay awareness campaigns with visibility, consistent enforcement, so that the public sees the message by 30 November 2025. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the pervasive tragedy of road accidents, more accurately termed as road carnage, is not inevitable byproduct of modern mobility. As this report has detailed, it is a preventable public health crisis that demands decisive and unwavering response. The staggering annual toll of 1.3 million lives lost and millions more injured represents a profound failure of systems, not just individual error. Therefore, ending this carnage requires a fundamental paradigm shift from accepting accidents as chance occurrences or proactively engineering and managing our transport systems to eliminate death and serious injury, a principle based by the Vision Zero and Safe System approach. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable KARIKOGA. The question before the House is a motion by Honorable KARIKOGA that this House considers and adopts the report of the Portfolio Committee on Transport and Infrastructural Development on the road carnage in Zimbabwe, SC 64 of 2025. We then debate. Before I call upon the second of the motion, Honorable Gumede, Honorable KARIKOGA, in your report, you indicate that the traffic safety council is still in the process of a tender to acquire some of the things. But I thought I saw you on some clip with the VID, with breathalyzers being commissioned and everything. Is that not so?
Indeed, it is true, Honorable Speaker.
So
some of the points in the report were overtaken by events.
So you should have changed that accordingly so that we acknowledge the good speed of work that you have done as a committee and the ministry.
Okay, stand guided.
Well done on that. I call upon Honorable Gumede to take the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice in the debate on road accidents. We come today facing a national emergency. It's a silent war that continues on our roads, claiming the lives of our people at an alarming rate. This is not a debate about statistics or politics. It is a debate about real people, real families, and real pain. This is also about the thousands of Zimbabweans whose lives are cut short on dangerous highways and the neglected urban roads. It's about the mother in Binga, the father in Chitungwiza, the children in Blawayo who have to receive a shattering phone call that changes the lives of that particular household forever. The report before us, therefore, I believe is more than just a document. It is a clear record of a preventable disaster. It shows that road traffic accidents, like it was alluded to, that it's now the third leading cause of deaths in Zimbabwe, second to HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis. So every year, basically, it means that when we look at the statistics, we see that 2,000 people die and 30,000 are injured. And some of the 30,000 injured people are left with permanent disabilities. So these figures reflect not only the loss of life, Honorable Speaker say, but the loss of national productivity and potential, in the sense that we lose our farmers, we lose our teachers, we lose business owners, people who could have contributed to the growth of our nation. And we have these people just being lost on our roads. So as we lose these people, we find that there is obviously an economic impact, which is equally severe. Zimbabwe loses approximately 400 million every year, about 3% of the GDP, to road accidents. This is money that we could be using in our struggling economy. We could be using it, for example, to improve our infrastructure, education, health, and development. Honorable Speaker, the crisis goes beyond transport. I believe it's a humanitarian and a social economic crisis. So the term road accidents no longer adequately captures the reality. We are experiencing what I would better state as road carnage, and it demands a serious, honest, and coordinated response from this House. Honorable Speaker, the situation is worsening. In the first quarter of 2025, we are said to have recorded 15,263 accidents. This is a 15% increase from previous periods. During Easter and Independence of this year, accidents rose by 34%. So while there was a slight reduction in terms of the fatal accidents, the injuries rose significantly, showing that the continued trauma experienced by families and communities is ongoing. So even more worrying is the 1,824 figure, which is alluded to hit and run cases. This was recorded in the same quarter, and according to what I'm observing, it's highlighting a growing culture of irresponsibility and a lack of accountability. In my mother tongue, I would better explain it and say ubuntu bethu sobaya ngaphi ukuthi kungaba lengozi yomgwaqo ubona ukuthi okhona umuntu selimele kodwa wena uyasuka uyabaleka. You could have saved impilo yomuntu yena lo had you had uNembeza to react on time and maybe engcane wayezaphila. But we see people sebelahlekelwe ubuntu sebebaleka bechayile abantu bachiye ingozi zomgwaqo.
Honorable Gumede, do not mix your languages. If you are not debating the Ndebele, debate in Ndebele. If it's going to be English, please stick to
Thank
English.
you for the correction.
And for the record, it's Bulawayo, not Bulawayo. Repeat after me, Bulawayo. Repeat after me, Honorable Member, Bulawayo. No, even in English, it's Bulawayo.
Thank you. Thank you for the correction.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will continue to say that to solve this crisis, we need to confront the real causes. The evidence shows that 85% of accidents are due to human error. For example, misjudgment, particularly tailgating. This accounts for 15% of accidents. Then we have excessive speeding, contributing 11%. Whilst failure to give way contributes over 7%. These behaviors reveal a growing lack of respect for traffic rules and fellow road users, especially pedestrians. However, we cannot blame the drivers alone. Many of them operate under harsh economic conditions and pressures. Passenger transport drivers, they often work under strict target systems that are imposed by vehicle owners. So this forces them to contribute to these accidents. Many of our highways are worn out, and our feeder roads in particular are riddled by potholes. We also find that the issue of signaging, poor signaging, also exists. And then pedestrian infrastructure is almost absent. So the report shows that 57.2% of accidents occur on urban roads, where there are high traffic volumes combined with poor road conditions, and then they create this deadly environment where we become prone to these accidents. The issue of unroadworthy vehicles further fuels this crisis. Many old vehicles, especially the notorious chicken buses, have serious mechanical problems. Weak enforcement at VID and ZRP checkpoints, combined with...
Yes, order, Honorable Committee. What's the point of order?
Yes, I don't know which chicken buses she's talking about. You know, it will be a direct confrontation and attack to myself, because those buses are manufactured from my factory. If we calculate and check how many buses have been involved in accident, and check how many AVMs have been involved in accidents, we will find it otherwise there. But they keep on attacking on the AVM. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Musani. I think your point is noted. The statistics will be, I'm sure Honorable Gumede will verify the statistics, and Honorable Gumede, continue with that caution.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I was saying that there is weak enforcement when we look at VID and the ZRP. The checkpoints there, which they conduct, don't necessarily give us the output that we'll be anticipating, due to a combination of corruption and allowing these unsafe vehicles onto our roads. So the result becomes again predictable and equally tragic. The collapse of formal public transport has forced citizens to rely on imshiga-shiga operators. These drivers, trying to evade the law enforcement while earning a living, often engage in reckless behavior such as overloading and dangerous speeding. Reports that some police officers themselves operate pirate taxis are deeply alarming and undermine public trust. Corruption is perhaps the most damaging element in this crisis. Spot fines meant to deter bad behavior have largely become opportunities for bribery. Dangerous vehicles and unlicensed drivers continue to pass through checkpoints after paying bribes. This destroys confidence in the system. As long as corruption remains rampant, no amount of education or awareness campaigns will make a difference. Honorable Speaker, while some interventions have been attempted, they are not enough. Statutory Instrument 129 of 2015, which mandates speed limiters, is weakened by non-compliance and fraudulent certificates. ZRP splits operations, such as Tame the Traffic Jungle, have short-lived impact. Once the blitz ends, dangerous behavior returns. The police lack adequate vehicles. They also lack speed guns and other amenities that make their work to be a bit more efficient. So we must shift from reacting to crashes to preventing them. A sustainable, safe system approach is needed. One that focuses on engineering safer roads, ensuring enforcing laws intelligently, and reducing human error. So our way forward must include, firstly, targeted intelligence-led enforcement at known black spots using available crash data. Number two, use of technology such as speed cameras to reduce human discretion and corruption. Number three is a zero tolerance for corruption, including body cameras at checkpoints and an anonymous reporting hotline. Number five, formalizing the transport system with routes with route franchising and accountability for vehicle owners. Number five, affordable targeted road safety improvements such as signaging, rumble strips, pedestrian crossings, and road markings. Number seven is consistent enforcement backed by public awareness campaigns that match what people see on the road. Number seven, empowering passengers through simple reporting channels to flag reckless drivers. Honorable Speaker, I believe these solutions are not beyond our means. They require smarter spending, stronger coordination, and political will. So if we act together, transport, Home Affairs, Parliament, and key stakeholders, we can save lives. Road carnage reflects deeper issues of governance. They reflect deeper issues around accountability and our collective values. We have the information, yes. The analysis, we do the analysis, and the practical recommendation. But what remains is the determination to act. So let us commit to ending this avoidable loss of life. Let us ensure that our roads are no longer places of fear, but pathways of safety and development. The people of Zimbabwe are watching, and they deserve action. I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Gumede. I call upon the Government Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate do not adjourn.
Who seconds?
I second, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Fine. It has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? I put the question that the debate be now adjourned. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. The ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed and the debate is adjourned. To what day, Honorable Government Chief Whip?
tomorrow, Mr. Speaker.
To tomorrow, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Who seconds?
I second, Honorable Speaker, sir.
It has been moved that the House do now adjourn. Is there any debate? I put the question that the House do now adjourn. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those who are of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. And the question is accordingly affirmed, and the House is adjourned. To what day, Honorable Government Chief Whip?
To tomorrow, Mr. Speaker.
The House is adjourned to tomorrow. Good night. Thank you.